Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to Spill the Tea Lou. My name is Lou. As you can see, I have been joined by Anton from Fire Them Cannons. It is behind his head. You can't see the whole cannon. That says Fire Them Cannons. Okay, there you go. There you go. So if you want to find Anton after the stream, I have got him tagged in the description, but you can find him there afterwards. Thank you so much for joining us this fine evening. What day are we? We're Wednesday, aren't we? I can't keep up with the days of the week at the minute because I didn't stream yesterday, even though it was Tuesday. It was my other half's birthday. So I thought probably a bit rude to go streaming on his birthday. We had a nice little evening. But here we are. It's Wednesday. We're on Spill the Tea Lou. Anton's here. We're clearly going to be talking about Arsenal. And Anton has promised me he's going to be on his very best behaviour. Obviously, the way I was on his channel.
And why would I not be at my good behaviour? Anyway.
I don't know. Your best behaviour is what I worry about. But Roddy is in the chat. Flossie is in the chat. Streets is in the chat. Streets! Is that a new profile picture, Streets? Is it just, did you change the colour? Streets has a new profiler, everybody. Let's have a go. I'm sure it was black before. And now it's like a brownie colour. Interesting. Okay. That's how well I know my subscribers. I know every one of their profile pictures in great detail. But first of all, Anton, thank you very much for being here, because for those that may not have noticed from Anton's accent, we do have quite a bit of a distance between myself and Anton, which means we are on different times of the day. So I've just had my dinner. I did myself, right? Which is actually why we're late, people. Apologies again. But my stomach, we know now, my stomach comes first. It wasn't entirely my fault. My live-in tech support was home a little bit late for dinner, which meant we had dinner a little bit late, which meant I had to finish it before we went live. So technically it's not my fault, it's his fault. But what I made was chips with like a Philly cheesesteak topping. So what you would get on a Philly cheesesteak like ciabatta, but I put it on chips with the melty cheese. I added some jalapenos. He got some mushrooms. Nice proper steak. Like I got the steak and cut it. Really good. So sorry, lads, but you were just going to have to wait 10 minutes for me to like eat it, because honestly, I wasn't passing up on that. And then, of course, I had to make a cup of tea. But it's not dinner time for you, Anton.
No.
It is, 8:30 in the morning?
It's breakfast time, so I might have a cup of coffee. So there you go.
What is it? 8:30 in the morning, is it?
It's actually 6:45.
Oh my goodness me, it's 6:45 in the morning. That's worse than I thought it was. So lads, please, let's just appreciate Anton. He has got out of his bed at 6:45 in the morning, in the AM, to come and talk to us about his team, knowing exactly what I'm like. So he's coming out of his bed. So we want to appreciate him, because that is crazy time. Sam is exactly right. Crikey, Anton, respect. And that's from a Chelsea fan. So you know you're doing good.
I know, and that's
you're off to a good start.
Coming up this week, so...
I tell you what, my crew, we have a good lot in here. We've got a lovely, lovely gang in here. Obviously, we've seen Sam join us as well. Folks, as you're coming in, few things before I let Anton speak, because we are nearly 4 minutes into the stream and I have let Anton say about 5 words. We will get there. But... obviously, like the stream, clearly, because you know what's not to like. Second of all, we have a poll in the chat. Now, I don't know if Anton has seen this poll yet, so we might choke on his coffee when I read it out. Do Arsenal and their fans get more criticism than other teams and their fans? And the 3 options that we have are: yes, it's ridiculous. Yes, but it's the cost of being a top team. Or no, it happens all the big teams and their fans. So we're going to let that run throughout the show. And as me and Anton are talking, because that's actually going to be our very first topic of discussion. And as you can see, I've put Anton on the spot here. He did not know that was coming, because like with Kai from Behind the Dugouts, like with our Ash and UFC, I don't have a plan, which means the guys that come on don't get a plan at all. They just have to wing it, which means we have a very genuine fan conversation. It's not a debate. It's not prepared points. It's not my argument versus your argument. It's a genuine off the cuff conversation. You're hearing it for the first time. Me and Anton haven't spoken about this. It keeps it better from everybody. Now, Anton, you will see in my chat, I actually have some very, very lovely Arsenal fans. Ray is in the house and he is already off. He's out of the traps, nice and early. So before I ask you anything, Ray says, agenda from the large media outlets is what annoys me the most. BBC, TalkSport, Sky. Definitely feels like an extra agenda against Arsenal. Could just be confirmation bias. So Ray says it feels like more, but he's admitting the fact that, look, you can be coloured around your own team. So we have some really good Arsenal fans in our chat. So you're not going to be all on your own. It's not all enemy territory. And if Albo's in the house as well, Albo's another one of our Arsenal fans. I don't know where Wills is. I think Wills is having a great time. I haven't seen Wills in a few days. But Guess, you would like to live in Guess's world. Guess is currently training to be a baker. So she spends most of her time baking and sleeping because she has to get up at like 4:30 in the morning to go to like her baking school. It's crazy hours. I get tired just listening about it. But what Guess says is she has not been paying attention, which is fair. So she hasn't seen any of the criticism towards Arsenal. So what you would like to do is live in Guess's world. But,
yeah. I would love to live in Guess's world. That's fantastic.
You would. But
I like endless amounts of bread as well. So
no, but that's it. You tell me how you are. Welcome to the channel. It is your debut on Spill the Tea, Lou. Obviously, the last time we met was on your channel. But, tell the people who maybe aren't Football Terrace fans, because I know maybe Roddy wouldn't be on the Football Terrace too much. There's some of them in there might not be massively on the Football Terrace. So introduce yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm Anton. I live down under in Australia, even though I've got this American accent. Very confusing family lineage. My mom and dad met in Los Angeles. My dad was from London, and so then they decided to move to Australia together. But I lived in US for like half my life first, which is why
I didn't even know that.
This accent. Yeah. So to get off the bat, that explains to you why I'm an Australian with an American accent. All right.
And an Arsenal fan. So you're an Australian
fan
with an American accent and an Arsenal fan. That did take some explaining, to be fair.
Yeah, it did. But I just feel like I got to get that out of the way because then the questions start coming and I always get that same question all the time. So I am, I don't know, I guess notoriously known now as one of the most cocky, arrogant Arsenal fans on the internet. If anybody knows Igal, I get compared to him a lot. In fact, a lot of stuff Igal says ends up being credited to me now, which can be sometimes annoying, but
that's not something that I would want. Sam says you couldn't get more international. So you've spread it all across the ocean.
International and English speaking though. So I wish I could have had like some Spanish or some, Italian in there, but
have you never heard of Duolingo? I mean, what you should do is wait until your channel is big enough, say you'd love to learn a language and hope Duolingo hear you. Put it out into the universe, Anton. That's your bag. But that is actually the first thing I want to talk about. Okay, so obviously kind of on social media, in the general media, very much on YouTube, all the kind of big YouTube channels, the big platforms on YouTube, they're all talking about this. Are Arsenal being picked on? Are people being mean to Arsenal? Okay. And I want to preface this slightly because I think just away from Arsenal, I think in general, we have a thing at the moment where what I would consider to be friendly football banter has become like this license to rage bait people. And then when they react, be like, oh, but I was only joking. Oh, you're so serious. And I think that in general in football with social media has taken a hold where people use it as an excuse to be a bit of an a-hole. And then when they're called out, they're like, oh, it was just banter. Oh my God, that's like football talk. And it's like, no, there's a difference between a bit of a laugh and a joke and a bit of a like, ha ha ha, and then having an actual normal conversation and like just constant rage bait, point scoring. Like, do you know what I mean? There is a difference. And so my impression from the outside is that Arsenal fans essentially feel like it's not banter. You're being constantly rage baited. It's constantly more like serious. Seems to be how and obviously we can't lump all Arsenal fans into the same group, because I think you guys are almost as fractured as United fans at the moment. But as a whole, it seems to be actually one of the few things a lot of your fan base agrees on, is that it's more. Where do you lie on that, on the banter versus rage bait, the kind of normal conversation versus constant debate? And I suppose how that applies to your fan base versus everybody else.
Yeah. I think the difference here is that fan talk is fan talk. So I've always got this rule, and I know sometimes I break this rule a lot. Lou will catch me out on this a lot, but generally when things come from the rival fans, that tends to be their job. Like I sit there and I rage bait and I banter my rival clubs all the time.
Which Ray has just said.
Yeah. Right.
He's on to you.
Right, which is expected. The thing that annoys me the most is when members of our own fan base start to, I don't know how the term is, like, want to avoid the heat from rivals as much as possible, so they will self-deprecate, or we will panic a little bit too much, and then all the things that rivals have ever said to us all of a sudden starts to compute as truth in our own heads, and that you start to blur the lines between what is and is not positive or what is negative. There's some fans who, I think a lot of people say it's like famous about Arsenal, which is one week, we're in real trouble. The next week, we're winning the league and nobody's ever beating us, and we're going to be cocky and arrogant. And I think that's where it kind of comes from, which is I think the media plays a big part in this, which is anytime Arsenal do not win, and maybe it's also the title pressure and the fact that you want to get somewhere that, only one team can get, which is the top of the league. And when you have a big team like Manchester City, who's notoriously known for being able to get it over the line with, let's put it quite bluntly, with quite perfection in the past, means that those standards are very high. So that way, week to week, that rage could be genuine, but at the same time, I think it's overcooked. I think reality sometimes gets blurred in some weeks. I think in both sides of the spectrum, if I'm honest. Sometimes we're hyped up a little bit more than we should on the good weeks, and then completely in the other way on the bad weeks.
But do you feel like that comes internally from your own fans, or is that how you feel like others on the outside treat you?
I feel like others on the outside treat us that way because our own fans react in a certain way that gets them very, very, excited.
So what you're saying is that some elements of your fan base are easy to rage bait, and
I put myself in that category, by the way, Lou.
I would also put you in that category, Anton. So I'm glad we're confessing here. But do you think it's more so? Because a lot of what I've seen is it happens more to Arsenal. So I want to go back there to Ray's comment, because it's quite representative of some of what I've seen. So what he says is that he feels like there's an agenda from the media outlets. So not social media, not YouTube, not other fans. He's talking specifically about the Skies, the BBC, the TalkSport. And I think probably the one that blurs the line the most there is TalkSport, because when I talk about TalkSport, I think of YouTube. I don't think of mainstream media the way I think of BBC and Sky. I think of the TV. But TalkSport do have an enormous voice. They're on the radio, but if you watch them on YouTube, they're live all the time on YouTube. So it feels like you're bear with me a minute. Guys, can you let me know if the chat is working, or if somebody who is in the show, Flossie, if you are there, or Guess, can you try and put a message in? And if it doesn't work, can you text me on WhatsApp? Because we stopped getting messages in, and I'll be honest, I just thought maybe it was us. But I have received a message asking if the chat is working. So let me see. Bear with me just a moment. I've ruined... Oh, there we go. Nathan's put a chat in, so it is obviously working. Right. Okay. No, that's fine. I just want to check if it was actually working for people. So it must just be them. All right. It's not us, which is the main thing. Yeah, working for Sam. No, that's cool. Thanks, guys. I just wanted to double check that it was working for everybody because somebody tried to put a message in and it didn't like go through. And I don't have on that like filter for certain words, so there was no reason it shouldn't work other than maybe the home help is struggling with the tech. But what Ray said was what he feels is essentially it's the large media outlets, and that it feels like they specifically have an extra agenda against Arsenal. And he says, look, he's open to the fact that may not be the case. But what I have seen online and heard online and actually on TalkSport, you know, they do the call-in show. So I listened to some Arsenal fans and I listened to the whole call, so I wasn't taking them out of context. But like most of the calls, I would say at least 60% of the calls were like, oh, this is only ever said about Arsenal. Or say if somebody makes a point, for example, about Manchester City, and then somebody says, oh, well, you don't talk about that when it's Arsenal. And I'm like, but they do. Like I was watching a show yesterday, might have been yesterday. And like there was people in the panel and there was people in the chat and there was back and forth. It was quite interactive with the chat. And like the panelists had talked about something. They moved on to the next topic, which was about Arsenal. And the chat were like, oh, you wouldn't say that about X team. They were literally after saying that about a different team like 10 minutes before in the same show, the same person.
I think I know exactly what you're alluding to, Lou, which is the celebration thing, right?
I wasn't talking about that specifically, but what is the celebration thing?
So
you feel free to bring it up. That's why
no.
Because then we can talk about everything.
Yeah, no, that's because... So that's the topic I feel like has been the big one in terms of difference between the way we're Arsenal being treated and the way, let's just say, Man City, Liverpool have been treated in the past. So this weekend is a really, really good example. And Terry actually pinpointed and brought it to my attention because I didn't actually watch the Man City game live because I was asleep. That I woke up afterwards and watched it, but I actually listened to Terry's little thing first, which is that they went ahead and they were praising Man City for celebrating the way they did against Newcastle. Yeah. Gary Neville then basically said, oh, this is a ploy from Pep Guardiola that is so very brilliant, to send a message to Arsenal, we're here. But when Arsenal celebrate against Tottenham the very next day, our North London rivals, it's not about even winning, about the title race per se when we celebrate against Tottenham. It's about beating Tottenham. It's about, geography and rival and right. This is our dead biggest rival, and we have put them completely in the mud considering where their position are on the league. That's what that celebration is about. But Gary Neville, the same very person, on the exact same very day goes, Arsenal, get back to the center circle. What are you doing? Why are you celebrating?
To be fair, now I didn't see the City one, but to be fair, I heard what he said in the Arsenal match because I watched the whole match. And I didn't hear the tone that you're putting on it. And the reason I'm interrupting right now is because I do think sometimes the way we hear things is colored by the opinion we've already got. So I can't comment on the City part because I didn't see or hear it, so I don't know. But I did hear the Arsenal one. What I got from it, because what he said was, don't lose your focus, basically. He was like, don't celebrate too hard. You still have the rest of the game to play. Keep your head in the game. What I didn't hear was, don't celebrate. Get back into the center circle. What are you doing celebrating? What I heard was, be cautious. Don't celebrate too early. Spurs might surprise you because it's a derby. What I heard was a United fan that had seen his team celebrate too early on multiple occasions and then lose. But so for me, I think it's colored by our own experience as well, if that makes sense, because he said the same thing. Everybody heard the same thing, but we all heard it completely differently.
Yeah.
Does what I said make sense for you?
Yeah.
When it's put out there.
But here are other examples of the same idea, right?
But before you give me another example, on that example,
Yeah.
Does what I said? I'm not saying you agree with it,
the irony on that example though, it does make sense, right? And a bit of me thought that after our first goal, which is the irony in the whole thing, which is after our first goal, Declan Rice goes over and goes, "Everybody calm down." He says it to the camera, right?
Yes.
Only for 43 seconds later for him himself to lose concentration and be at fault for Tottenham's equalizer. That's the irony in it. The goals that we did celebrate on that day, we went ahead and smashed them for, we're unanswered.
Nobody gave out about Declan Rice saying it. Declan Rice, and he does this regularly when you guys score. You see him on the pitch telling people to calm down, keep your head in the game. The players do it to each other. At the end of the day, while he's now a commentator and a pundit, Gary Neville's a player. That's what he will always be. He will always be a player. And I think he reacted as a player. He said what he would say if he was on the pitch. He said what he would say to his team. So to me, I don't feel like he was picking on Arsenal. Arsenal aren't allowed to celebrate.
I actually look at it a different way. I actually look at it the fact is that Gary Neville actually has picked Arsenal on multiple occasions to win the title, and but the last 3 years. And I think a little bit it's riding on him in terms of his himself, like his
credibility.
Own credibility. Yeah. Like I can't be 3 years in a row where I pick Arsenal and they don't do it. Like, come on, Arsenal, stop celebrating. I can see that point of view of it too. But it goes beyond Neville though. It goes beyond like.
Sorry, Anton, I know I'm interrupting you here.
Yeah.
Guys, there are some of you having problems in the chat. So I can see it was okay for Sam, and obviously Nathan's message came through. But Streets seem to have a bit of a problem. I know Flossie and Guests were both having problems. So if you're having problems, I do apologize. It seems to be a YouTube-wide thing. There's some other channels were experiencing it earlier on. People are putting in messages and they're not going through, or we can't see them. So like they're typing in a comment, they're hitting send, and some of them are coming through and some of them aren't. So Flossie, you're here. You're back. If that happens, the only thing I can suggest, guys, is maybe refresh, try and reboot the chat. Other than that, it just seems to be YouTube being YouTube, to be honest with you. But obviously I do apologize. So Flossie had to leave the chat and left YouTube and then come back in. So she closed down the app, shut it off, and then kind of restarted the app. So if that is what's happening, give it a go. YouTube, I'll tell you what, never mind people have an agenda against Arsenal. YouTube has an agenda against small content creators, because how are we supposed to grow 100%. If nothing works? So also
I'm with you there, Lou, 1000%.
Disaster, absolute disaster.
But I don't want to say that out loud while YouTube people are watching on the background.
Well, if YouTube people are watching, make your chat work. I'm not apologizing. Do your job. Yes, YouTube people. If you want some other tips, let me know and I'll help you out. But Nathan says, some elements I disagree, but it's also due to the social media image of your fan base. 1-0, and then especially AFTV. If you listen to their comparisons, don't have the results to back it up. And I do think that's the thing. I think, and this actually irritates me, I do think sometimes people do this about United fans. They're like, Arsenal fans, United fans. And I'm like, no. And I'm always really, and if you watch any of my shows, I'm always so careful to say some Arsenal fans, some Chelsea fans, some Liverpool fans. I'll always say that, because I actually feel like sometimes a lot of the more loudly held views don't align with mine. And it annoys me when I'm lumped in with them. But you're actually being incredibly balanced. I'm very proud of you so far. Well done, Anton. We are going to come back to the point you were making when I interrupted you rudely. It's just this chat is doing my head in now. But Roddy,
what was that point again? I don't even remember.
I'm sure it'll circle back round. Let's face it, you and me, we're going to circle back round. Let me see. Roddy says the refresh worked for him. Excellent. So Roddy's been here the whole time. We have lost a few people that were on the live, so hopefully they're just refreshing and they're going to come back. We haven't frightened them off. But what I have seen, because you're being very fair, and you're kind of, both yourself and Ray there have sort of alluded to mainstream media, Sky and sort of BBC and like traditional media. So what I would say then maybe from that is we can separate it. So there seems to be maybe a feeling, a general feeling, based on you and Ray Ray, that maybe traditional media feels slightly biased or slightly harder or different towards Arsenal.
Yeah.
But
So,
in terms of other fans, opposition fans, and I'm including content creators here because all the content creators are all fans of a particular club. So even if
right.
you have, like, I'm not a Man United channel, but I am a Man United fan. Therefore, when I'm speaking about Arsenal, I'm going to speak about Arsenal like a Man United fan. I'm not a pundit. I'm not
Yeah.
paid to be impartial. I don't want to be impartial. What I want on my channel is for fans to talk like fans. I don't want to
Hmm.
feel like I'm in debate club. I'm a fan. That's how I'm going to talk. I'm not going to be impartial. I'm going to banter you. If my rivals lose, I'm going to be happy.
I'm
What,
the
like,
same way, Lou. I mean, I tried it. I tried so hard. So like
I
my
didn't.
other network, Hotsport, was meant to be for for everybody, like all of the clubs. I just can't maintain it. Like, because at the end of the day, it just comes down to Arsenal. My nature, my everything comes down to like Arsenal against the world.
Yeah.
That's sort of like me. And like I'm like, you know what? I gotta do a bit of a rebrand here because it's just not fitting me. Like
But
trying to
as
be the
well, I
whole sit in the
find
middle, like, yeah,
it doesn't feel natural
yeah.
because what we operate on YouTube, it's fan content. It's fan content for football fans. The idea of it at its like inception was for fans to be able to have a place like to meet and have a chat virtually rather than in a pub or in a restaurant or a coffee or
Mm.
but it wasn't to kind of try and emulate traditional media. It was just to have a chat amongst friends. And
Yeah.
I feel like a little bit of that is being lost.
See that's the difference. And I think that for fan channels, as
Mhm.
I said, rivals are rivals. It's your job to do it's to do that or to capitalize on the misery of others
Yeah.
and to be salty on the success of others. That is the job of fans. I never will go out and attack or blame fans or anything. What I do not like though is when rival fans like to then all of a sudden pretend as if I'm a football expert and I am impartial, and
Yeah.
then in their impartiality, when they've labeled themselves that, then begin to banter
Yeah.
because I'm like, well, now you are like
Not
a wolf
impartial.
in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you got you know what I mean? I'd rather you just be a wolf. All right,
Yeah.
we can fight it out as wolves, but you know, like don't pretend to be a sheep. If you
Yeah.
get
I
what I'm
actually
saying.
think you might have hit the nail on the head of what actually annoys people. So, for example, mainstream media, they're supposed to be impartial. Therefore, when they're not, it feels worse because you're like, okay, you're actually supposed to be impartial. Whereas I think because some of the larger, and I do think it's mainly larger channels, I think the larger channels on YouTube have somewhat emulated media. And because there's so many multi-club channels now that do kind of posture as being impartial, and then they're not, or their panelists aren't because it's not natural as a
Well,
football
the
fan.
panelists are brought. Like I'll be honest, both of us have been on the terrace, right? The
Yes, we have.
panelists are brought on to be Terry. Terry actually does a very very good job, and I wouldn't lump him in this because
I disagree.
Terry maintains. I mean,
I
unless
don't
it
think
comes
he's
to Man
impartial
United.
at all. No, I don't think he's impartial at all. And I don't like how he speaks on United. As a United fan,
Oh no, no,
I
I'm
don't like
talking
how
about
he
everybody
speaks.
else's clubs.
Yeah,
I'm
but I
talking
don't
about
think
with
he
the
is
top.
impartial at all. I think he's very biased.
Okay. Well, okay. Well, you
So,
know, we have
so
our
we'll
own
have to
views on
agree to
that.
disagree on that
Yeah,
one.
yeah, we'll agree to disagree. No, I do think I do. I look, me and him speak on the regular all the time
Mhm.
about this type of stuff. And actually, one thing I'll say, he's become quite of a mentor to me in this YouTube world, and I ask him a lot of questions all the time, and he does answer me like without avoiding the question. So I big up to him all the time.
Mhm.
But generally, you know, the panelists come on, they're allowed to kind of say what they want to say. It's built for to have that rival banters amongst the rivals when they come on
Mhm.
together, right? But But for him himself, I think that he actually stays quite impartial-ish in terms of he doesn't get dragged into those sort of banterist conversations. He'll let his panelists get off on it, but he won't
I
necessarily.
wholeheartedly disagree with that. Wholeheartedly. But
Okay.
not to make it about the football terrace, because it's not.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm no longer in any way associated with the channel, so I don't want to make it about their channel. But they're one of many, 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 many channels that has this format where you have a host and you have multiple panelists from different clubs, and they kind of go at it. I think for the most part, most of those channels fail to be impartial. I think even if their intention, even if they set out to be impartial, I think as a fan who's emotionally invested in the situation, I think even if you try your utmost, I think it's very unlikely, whoever you are, that you're not going to show any bias. It's going to slip out, whether you want it to or not. So as you say, I actually think you're better just saying, we're going to do our best, but the fact is, this is the team that I support, therefore there may be some sort of bias associated with the conversation. Because people respect that then. People go, okay, fair enough, I can understand. So like that, you've seen, I have Arsenal fans in my chat, I have Spurs fans in my chat, I have Chelsea fans in my chat. I actually think I have Newcastle fans in my chat. The least represented club in my chat is United. The least amount of subscribers I have is United. My channel is very mixed. My very first video I ever put up on my channel, I said, my name is Lou, I'm a Manchester United fan, I'm not going to be unbiased, I am going to be a hypocrite. But that was the first, that's what I opened with. Watch the first video I ever did on this channel. That's my opening line. And I meant it. But I now have a really diverse, mixed, great group of people in my chat because they understand where I'm at, where they're at. And I have a laugh and a joke with them. I never rage bait. Like, for example, I haven't turned around because we have lovely Kate and Jimbo come in here who are Spurs fans.
Kate, I love Kate and Jimbo, yeah.
I love Kate, right? So Kate and Jimbo come in.
Although she'll have me struggling next season, in the championship, but that's a whole other thing.
But see there, that's a bit of a laugh and a joke because Kate.
Yeah.
Okay? But if it continues and continues where you're like, oh, I would genuinely laugh if they got relegated. It's going to be so funny when Spurs go down. Then it turns from banter into rage bait. It turns from banter and a bit of fun into something that's not fun. So you could say, they're going to struggle next season in the championship, haha, and we laugh, and then we move on to maybe a serious conversation of how would you feel if your most prominent rival in the Premier League actually got relegated? And then we have a proper conversation about it. Whereas I find what's happening, and not just on YouTube, across everywhere, I think what I find is what's happening now is you make a joke like that and I go, oh yeah, it's going to be hysterical. And then we spend the next 10 minutes laughing about like a team being relegated that we maybe don't even mean, but we fed into each other. And then but then you never have an actual conversation. It's just everything's ha ha ha. And it never develops into anything that what I want from my content, if that makes sense.
See, this is how I relate to that in terms of Arsenal, right?
Yes.
This whole bottling it word, right? And this is where I feel like my fan base don't do a good enough job in avoiding such vocabulary when we're talking about certain things. So, this is the analysis that annoys me, right? So Arsenal had a bit of a wobble. Some very I would call it embarrassing result, specifically, I think Wolves away, in terms of the way that finished it. But instead of talking about the game and what went wrong for Arsenal in the game, the explanation is very simply, they bottled it. And then our fans start saying the word, are we bottling it in titles of videos when we're talking about everything? And for me, it put that sort of really bad juju out into the universe. It got all the way to the press. They ask Arteta and use the word, are you bottling it in a press conference? And I'm like, dude, you are the media. Why are you using that word when you speaking to the manager of Arsenal Football Club? And that's
how I feel about the guy with the haircut.
Yeah.
That doesn't need to be talked about in a press conference. We don't need to
Right.
use but again, it was brought on by our own fans. So I'm going to go back to you in just a second. But live update: Benfica have just gone 1-0 up against Real Madrid.
Champions League.
Yeah.
Oh, I need Real Madrid. Oh wait, is Real Madrid up on aggregate?
On aggregate,
overall?
let's have
It's
a little.
1-1 now. It's 1-1. Oh,
Has it?
yeah.
Let me refresh here.
I need Real Madrid to win that because I want them
so
to
aggregate's 1-1.
I want them to draw Manchester City in the next round.
Real Madrid?
Yeah.
Well, if they can't beat Benfica, they're not going to beat City. You want Benfica to go through because they might surprise them at the very least. I mean, look at who was that one through yesterday that beat Inter? Who was the team that beat Inter yesterday? What's the name of the team? It's just literally escaped
Bodo
me.
Glimt.
Bodo. There we go.
They beat City, remember?
Yeah. But do you know what I mean? So to be honest, I wouldn't be counting on... There you go. I wouldn't be counting necessarily... If Real Madrid can't beat this Benfica, I wouldn't count on them to beat City, if you know what I mean.
I mean, we just talked about Bodo Glimt and how they beat City. So...
But that's my point.
That's the beauty of this competition, is to be honest. So
I love it, but I just wanted to give the guys
Bodo Glimt beat City
update.
and Inter in the last few weeks. They're absolutely incredible. Yeah,
on fire. But back to what you were saying, we were talking about the asking Arteta about the bottling and that your fans are putting the bottling in their own titles, etc. And that's not something that you necessarily subscribe to.
No, see, this is the issue, right? And I'll actually go back to 3-0 Arsenal against Sunderland 2.5 weeks ago now, right? We had just won 3-0, putting ourselves 9 points clear. This actually shows you a great...
No, pause. You were never 9 points clear. You were never 9 points clear. Absolutely not.
You are holding on to a specific part of this when I'm about to go on.
No, but I talked about this twice. I've done videos on this on the channel. Game week to game week. You were never 9 points clear.
We are in complete agreement on that. You've heard me speak.
We spoke about this. You and I.
Yeah. I agree with you 110%.
But
I'm just saying at the
7
time.
points clear.
Right. No. But at the time, anyway. See, now we're getting completely to a different topic.
So no.
We agree on that. We agree on that. I wait until the end of the week.
7 points clear.
Okay. Anyway, we had just beaten Sunderland 3-0. I'll forget about the points total for a second. The very next day, Liverpool, were by the way, all of our friends were expecting to win as if it was a foregone conclusion. Massive error. But City went to beat Liverpool the very next day. Instead of the conversation being about Man City, what I'm seeing pop up everywhere is, Arsenal are bottling it. I'm like, how? We won yesterday 3-0. What are we doing to bottle it?
Yeah.
A few days later, City then win again against Fulham pretty easily. Mm-hmm. Not about, hey, Man City, they're doing really, really great right now. Well, another great win by Man City. It's, are Arsenal going to bottle it? But we haven't kicked the ball. By the time we actually do play a game against Brentford, everyone's talking about, are Arsenal going to bottle it? Are Arsenal going to bottle it? Are Arsenal going to bottle it? That energy creeps into our locker room. It creeps into the away end at the G-Tech Stadium, and you can tell the players are out there nervous. That is not a fan base doing their utmost to help get their team over the line. In fact, they're actually working in the opposite direction in that way. Then we get to Wolves. Mm-hmm. We've already had this drop points against Brentford, and the conversation is, Arsenal better beat Wolves, get 3 points here, or they're in massive trouble. We go 2-0 up, we drop the 2-0 lead. Now, by definition, I guess you could say that's bottling that game specifically. But then, what do I have to put up with? Arsenal are bottling it. And then City, of course, go win. That war keeps going on again. But why are we constantly using this term? I get the rivals doing it, but our fans are using it. I'm actually giving you examples of Arsenal fans' commentary on this.
What would you prefer them to say?
I would prefer them to be like, look, you know what? This is a tough title race. Manchester City are in it, but I believe in this team. I believe this team can do this. It's been a bad little bit of run. City had their own bad run throughout the season.
But
to be fair to
we have
us,
just
we put it
said,
away. We put
yeah,
we put it to the side because it was Tottenham, and it was like, you know what? Forget about it right now. Forget about title race. It's Tottenham. Let's go. And we got behind the team, and the team responded in that manner, right? That's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. When you get behind the team, when the energy is right behind your team, the team tends to perform a little bit better. They play with less of a nervousness. It's about pump.
We have said several times on this stream, we have said the fan content is about fans behaving like fans, speaking like fans, like having conversations like fans, okay? Not everybody is a fan in the same way. So you're quite a positive person. You're kind of the law of attraction, believe things into existence.
Right, which is why you can see that messes with my headspace, right?
But that's not how every person is. Therefore, that's not how every fan is going to be. So we can't say on one hand, like YouTube or this space is for fans speaking like fans. And then when your fans speak like fans, they speak about how they're feeling individually. Oh, well, you can't be a fan like that. You can't talk like that. Because our channels and our platforms, while I agree with you, it absolutely impacts the team. It definitely leaks into the locker room. I don't disagree. I think that's completely correct. But I don't think we can say this platform is for having fan conversations and then say, oh, but you can't say that because it might get into the locker room. If it's for speaking like a fan, and as a fan, that's how they feel, then I don't think we can say, well, don't do that. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah,
I understand your point. I agree it makes an impact, but I don't think we can say we must all behave the same way as fans because we definitely don't. Do you know what I mean? Like me and David, for example, like we are so different. It's crazy, but we both absolutely love United. We can't say to each other like, oh, well, you're too negative, you're too positive. Like David doesn't think Ahmad's good enough. I think he's wrong. David, the first time I met David, and he calls into the streams often, so I'm sure he might see this at some point.
Oh,
first time I ever met David.
I wouldn't be surprised if David pops into the chat at some point in this.
He does often. Because
considering that I'm the guest here today, he always pops into every single one of my videos every time. So,
but the first time I ever met David, I was like, "You're so negative." Do you know what I mean? But David's
had a bit of an evolution there since then, though.
He has. I believe it was my fault. But I can't say to David on his videos, like, don't put that negativity out there. Like, Ahmad might see it in the dressing room. As a fan, if that's how he feels, he's absolutely entitled to say that. So when I ask you, like, I can understand because I know you and I know how you operate. I can understand that for you, it might be frustrating to see other Arsenal fans with titles.
Because I've been working the whole year trying to manifest. And I'm like, manifestation works in both ways. You can manifest negatively as well. So like one man can manifest positively, but when 60,000 men are manifesting negatively, I'm doing... I'm completely outnumbered here. You know
but what if they think that you're not manifesting, you're actually tempting fate? So what if they feel like, so you feel like what they're doing is they're attracting the negativity. Maybe they feel like you're triggering the negativity because actually you're tempting fate by being so positive. They could flip that completely.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you what my intention is not.
I know, but their intention isn't for
manifest.
But your intention,
I get what you're saying,
is to manifest the positivity. They can say, well, you're tempting fate. You can say they're being too negative, but like they might say, but my intention is that I don't want to get my hopes up and have them put down again, or my intention is not to get too ahead of myself. My intention, so the guy with the haircut for United, his intention wasn't to like cause more pressure on the club. I don't care what anyone says. When every single person on the planet is talking about 5 in a row so this man can get his bloody haircut, that goes in our dressing room. That feeds into our dressing room.
You know what, Wayne Rooney, I saw got to Wayne Rooney and I'm like, you know what, if I'm United Strand, I'm just a guy. And now Wayne Rooney's talking about me getting a haircut. Like, I'm like,
but his intention wasn't for that to happen. But regardless of his intention, that is what happened. So intention isn't always translated. Do you know what I mean? But my thing is, because I do know there is a lot of discord within your fan base. I see it all the time because there's so many Arsenal fans. But what I have seen, and maybe it's the content that I'm seeing that's being pushed to me as a rival, what I'm seeing is a lot of Arsenal fans, not all, a lot though, are saying, oh, well, you know, rival fans. And it makes me feel a little bit exasperated because it feels sometimes like some Arsenal fans feel like rivals should be giving them a pat on the back and telling them well done for winning the league. And I'm like, do you actually expect a United fan to be happy for you winning the league? What do you want from us? They're like, oh, so salty. And not just United fans, but they're like, rival fans, so salty because we're winning. And it's like, yes, we're salty because you're winning. We are your rivals. We don't want you to win.
That is if we're calling you salty, that is us acknowledging the fact that you're salty. That means I don't take any slight from you being salty. To be fair, Lou, you know, if you are one of the fans who desperately don't want to see Arsenal win the league and it kills you inside every time we win a game, that gives me pleasure.
Yes, because I'm your rival. You want to see me sad. But so for me, a lot of these, right, Ray, we're salty because they prefer City
this is
to
the
win.
part though. Like for me, like,
but what do you want?
Can I ask you a question though? Real question though.
Yes.
Forget about if it's a title race or not. Yeah. Traditionally, because you've been a Man United fan, well, I feel like for very many years, right? Who fills your heart with more hatred?
Arsenal. Every time. Every time. No questions. I grew up with Wenger and Fergie. I grew up Wenger, Fergie. Wenger is the reason Fergie doesn't have more titles. Just Wenger.
Wow, I could flip that on its head and be like, Fergie's the reason why Wenger hasn't had more titles.
My point. But that is right. I dislike City.
Maybe that's where we are right now. Maybe that's why I hate Man City more than I hate Man United.
Yes, because they're taking your titles.
Yeah. I could.
I find it right. I see online, oh, you're not a real fan if you don't think this. You're not a real fan if you don't want that. I don't think anybody has the right to tell someone they're not a real fan.
There's another part of this though, Lou, that you're missing in terms of Arsenal. So and I feel like you can relate because there are probably a sect of Manchester United fans who are like this too.
Probably. But whatever it is, probably.
there is a sect of Arsenal fans who have real bad intentions because I'm talking about what I would call, I wouldn't even call them real Arteta outers. I'm talking about manufactured Arteta outers, as in they are Arsenal fans, but they get more pleasure in Arsenal's misery than they actually do our success. Do
you feel those people are, and I'm not because I would never, I strongly am against people saying you are not a real fan if you don't think this. I am so against it. But in that specific circumstance where it's very specific people with very specific traits, do you believe that the people that you're thinking of in your head, they are Arsenal fans? Or do you believe that they became Arsenal fans to create content? Because I believe there are people that are United fans to create content. I don't know who they are, but I believe there are people out there. Because there's all, like, if you think of fortune tellers, there is always going to be people that see an opportunity and they take it. So there will be some people out there. I'm not speaking about anybody specifically, but there will be people out there in the vastness of YouTube who are pretending to support something because they can make money. Fair play to them if it works, because we all need to make a living. But the people that you're thinking of, do you believe that they are Arsenal fans and they've just become very bitter? Or do you feel like maybe they genuinely weren't Arsenal fans even to begin with?
Well, the most famous, example of this type of fan, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to give him too much credence, but I think you know who I'm thinking of.
I can imagine.
I know for a fact, because I actually used to watch this man when he was in my phase of his YouTube career. Very, very positive, very, very much a fan of the man holding the golden trophy behind me, right? But over
Not so
time, over time, he started to profit off of his panic and his negativity and his pessimism, so much to the fact that anything the club does, we change the manager, the next manager he wants out too. The manager after that, he also wants out. This player is not good enough. This player is not. Every player comes under criticism, and it's because it's become part of his brand. So we have now moved beyond whether or not I want my football to succeed. I want myself to succeed because I succeed as long as this club fails, because people tune in to me to watch my meltdown or my, you get what I'm saying? And for me, but the thing is there are followers of people like this, and it actually spreads like wildfire across my fan base. And it's almost feels manufactured to me to a certain extent, where people have gone so far down that rabbit hole that they've forgotten the fact that they actually love Arsenal and what it would be like to be happy about Arsenal doing well. If you get
Do you think if you did manage to go ahead and say win the Premier League this season, do you think, because I agree with you, I think sometimes people start something off with one intention. So we were talking earlier about intentions. I cannot believe that their intentions at the beginning of making content was to be this person. I think sometimes, as you say, when success comes, you become the persona. You stop being the person, you stop being the fan, you become the persona that brought the success. And sometimes when you're in the rabbit hole, you can't see out. But do you think for some, I don't think it'll happen for everybody, but do you think for some people, if you went on and it actually became reality and you actually won the Premier League, instead of it just being an idea, do you think that might jerk some of those people out of that?
I think some, but then I think now again, we're going to have a percentage of people who are going to stick to it. Like this is the stuff that I'm ready for next year, which is do it again, Arteta. £1 billion spent, only one title. You're going to get those people as well. But you're also going to get, a bunch of fans who'd be like, you know what? Like, my very good friend, Realist Dan, he's not as negative as you might think, because I don't
think he's negative at all.
When we beat Sunderland 3-0, he was gone viral singing, the Victor Gyökeres song and, saying we ate our dinner, The very next day, though, he's panicking because it comes from a sense of PTSD. And for those fans, I have no issue with, because I can't tell you how to feel, as you said earlier, right? They're just protecting their feelings, their emotions. They don't want to get too far ahead of themselves because the heartbreak is too much for them to bear, right?
Yeah.
That is, I think for me, that's totally acceptable. I don't throw him into that category. But he's one of those fans, though, that if Arsenal were to get it over the line next year, he's probably looking a lot more like his counterpart, Positive Dan, and being a lot more positive about. And I made a joke after that game, and they both were on my show, and I'm like, so I've got Positive Dan and Positive Dan on today. So
do you think part of it, Anton, and I definitely see this within my fan base. I actually am aware of it sometimes within myself. Do you think sometimes it's the fear of embarrassment? Because, as I said, I think a lot of content creators, especially as they get bigger and bigger and bigger, more people watch them, more people tune into their opinions, more people take their opinions seriously. They're not just a fan, they're a creator. So, somebody said to me the other day about being, you're a YouTuber. And I was like, I'm what? And they're like, you're a YouTuber. And I was like, no, I'm a shop owner. YouTube is my hobby. Like, I'm not, what do you mean a YouTuber? It sounds like I'm an influencer. I'm a YouTuber. I'm
a graphic designer.
Ridiculous.
I'm
like, but it didn't dawn on me, Anton. It didn't occur to me until this person said, but you do YouTube. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not a YouTuber. And they're like, what would you call it? And I was like, well, that makes it sound like different.
Like that's your number one profession. Yeah.
Yeah. But so when they become YouTubers as such, where, as you say, it's their number one profession, is how they make a living, they become more, their opinion carries more weight. More people see it. I think people become afraid to say that they don't want to be wrong. They don't want to be wrong. They don't want. So, for example, right? Yes, Ray, the chat. I have people messaging me. The chat is just absolutely ridiculous. It's not working at all, guys. So if you're trying to send messages, I'm not ignoring you. I'm not being horribly rude. I'm so mad because this is such a good conversation. And as I said, I have so many like Arsenal fans that come in here. So hopefully people would get stuck into the comments after the show of what they thought of what we said, because and that's the reason I'm not stopping the show. I would much prefer to be able to do this with a live chat, but considering YouTube has just absolutely wrecked the gaff, we're just going to keep our conversation, and that way people can keep revisiting it then whenever they want.
Yeah, and by the way, I mean, not my channel, your channel, but, you know, if you can't make it into the comment section of the live chat, do it in the comment section if the video is over as well.
100%, because there's always good chats to be had. But I think sometimes, so I actually think Negative Dan is a really, really, really excellent example, okay? So
by the way, he loves Arsenal. Like, I could tell you for a fact, he lives, breathes it. Like, he goes to every single game. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but like, I consistently said to him, you will have seen me say this to him regularly. Don't let them call you Negative Dan. You're not negative. I said how many times in the group chat, I've said to him, like, you need to change your name. Don't let them call you Negative Dan. I actually think he's incredibly realistic. I don't think he's super positive. I think he's genuinely very realistic.
That's why he's rebranded himself to Realist Dan.
But I think he's right. I think that's what he is.
Yeah.
But just to use him as an example, some people, so Negative Dan was like his moniker. It became his persona as such, as that could have become who he was on YouTube.
He didn't want it to be that. He didn't want them to be. I can tell you that for a fact. He didn't want it to be that.
But that's not the point. But it could have been. It was already done. It's like Positive Dan. So is Positive Dan not ever allowed to be negative because he's Positive Dan? It becomes a persona. And what happens then is people don't want to like, well, if this is who I am and this works and people react to this, if I'm not this, will I become irrelevant? Will people not like me anymore because they like me for this? And I think, for example, if people have said Arteta out and then Arteta starts like working or he wins the Premier League and people come out who were Arteta out and be like, oh, fantastic, what a win. I'm so delighted we won the Premier League. Do you know what? Good job, Arteta. What you will have is a large portion of people turning to them and saying, oh, you can't enjoy this win. You were Arteta out. Oh, you can't say well done. You were Arteta out.
That's the next phase of this thing, Lou, unfortunately, yeah.
But it's ridiculous. It's and I mean, we're talking about Arsenal fans, but stuff like this happens across. So we've been through enough managers at Manchester United. I know what I'm talking about in this scenario. Eric Ten Hag out, Amarim out, you name Ollie out. You name them.
Behind that, yeah.
We can keep going. Do you know Jose out? Like, I mean,
are there any Carrick outs yet, or
I don't want.
Everyone's kind of just chill out. Okay, so we got one right here.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I'm Carrick out. I think he's undoing some of the good work Amarim did. I don't want him to get the job. And I wasn't of that.
Wait. Sorry.
Yeah.
I know I'm not an United fan. I'm not going to tell you how to feel, right?
I wouldn't.
I feel like he's simplified. He's gone back to basics with your team, and your team are performing a lot better on. Wait. Sorry. One win a month under Amarim is not a mess, but winning 5 of 6 is a mess.
Oh no, Amarim was a mess as well. I wanted Amarim out. Now we're going way off.
Has Carrick lost a game
but that's
yet?
Okay.
Man United manager?
No.
Yeah, there you go.
Let me explain. Okay. And this is where, and I'm not being funny, this is where, as a non-United fan, you're not going to see some things. So, for example, there are definitely some things with Arsenal I don't see. 100%. But I'll always own that. I'll always say I stand to be corrected because Arsenal fans know more about their club than me. So, like, I have Ash come on.
Right, which is why I said I'm not going to tell you how to feel about your club.
No, but it's great. It's because Ash comes on. We talk about Newcastle when Ash is on because he knows more than me. Kai from Behind the Dugouts comes on. He's a Chelsea fan, really, really good. But I talk about Chelsea when he's on, or if there's something I don't know, I'll ask Kai because he knows more about his club than me. So I'll have an opinion. It's not that I won't have an opinion, but if he corrects me on something, I'll say, fair, because you probably know an undercurrent that I don't know. For example, you might tell me something about Arsenal that I might go, oh, fairs. Like, I don't know how I'd feel if that's my club. For me, with
I'd say the same thing to you about Man United, by the way, Lou. Just
no, that's all right. I know.
I'm just challenging on it. If you're probably going to give me some sort of amazing bit of knowledge that I'm going to be like, oh, you know what? That makes sense. You know,
your mind is about to be blown.
Yeah.
No, I have always, and actually from I've started doing content, like on my own channel as well, I've always very much separated it. So when I speak about Bruno Fernandes, I speak about Bruno the player, and I speak about Bruno the captain. They're two different things. Okay, I separate.
For sure.
So when I speak about Amram, I speak about what Amram did off the pitch and what Amram did on the pitch. So what Amram did on the pitch was appalling, absolutely appalling. Okay, what Amram did off the pitch was sensational. Okay, he cleared out the deadwood. He got rid of the bomb squad. He got rid of player power. All that toxicity, he got a power washer into the dressing room and he washed it out. He cleaned the barrel. He removed the rotten apples. Okay. Carrick has come in. Cobby Mainoo's brother was wearing a t-shirt in Old Trafford saying free Cobby. Okay. That is ridiculous. It's an embarrassment, right? But Garnacho got slated when his brother did stuff like that. Okay.
Well, that was with Ruben in there.
But my point is, when Garnacho's brother did it, Garnacho got slated. That's not acceptable. Your family members can't do that. Get a hold of your family.
He was wearing a Villa top, wasn't he?
Yeah.
With like Marcus Rashford on the back and stuff, right?
But he got slated. Yeah. Rashford's agent is his brother. Does all sorts of mad stuff. Got slated repeatedly, rightfully. Okay. Mainoo's brother is in Old Trafford, and Mainoo's brother is a reality TV star. He was in Love Island, okay? So this guy thinks of it. Oh, really? He was on Love Island a few seasons ago. He's all about chasing clout, Mainoo's brother, okay? He's all about this, getting his face in front of the cameras. It was nothing to do with Man United. And he's in Old Trafford wearing a T-shirt that says, free Cobby Mainoo. And then it's rumoured, and obviously I can't confirm this because I am not ITK, but it's rumoured. And I would imagine if your brother's going to do something like that, you're aware of it. And he certainly didn't come out afterwards and say it wasn't okay. But so Cobby approved of this message because he didn't come out and say, I don't approve of this. Okay. So why is it not okay for Rashford? It's not okay for Garnacho. But now Mainoo's back in the fold and he's the second coming. So the first thing that Carrick did, yes, he simplified things on the pitch. So again, the way I've separated Amram on the pitch and off the pitch, I separate Carrick on the pitch, off the pitch. On the pitch, a million times better. He's just doing what Ollie did. He's literally just doing what Ollie did, okay? So he was there under Ollie. He's doing the exact same thing. It worked the first time. It's working the second time. Fucking, like, unbelievably crazy. Can't believe it, okay? On the pitch, great. Off the pitch, right? Our players now get a day off after every single match. So instead of training, we're only playing one game a week. And instead of training, we're having an extra day off, whether we win or lose. Okay? There is no discipline left in the dressing room. Out the window. Cobby Mainoo, whose brother is wearing this T-shirt, is straight back on the pitch. He's starting every match. So we're now telling Cobby Mainoo, the next time you're annoyed, get your brother in a T-shirt. We don't care. It's an embarrassment, but as a club, we don't care. Okay?
So you're saying he's putting toxic player power kind of back in the dressing room. I see that.
Absolutely. And do you know our players? We didn't play for 12 days because we were so terrible. We went out of every competition, right? Instead of staying to train,
you actually
what they did?
We've actually played more games this season than you will have played by the end of the year. Now. Yeah.
And you know what? He gave them a holiday. They didn't train. Do you know the way when we played Everton, we looked really lethargic the whole first half?
Define holiday though, Luke, because
holiday like in the sun on sand.
Yeah, but a lot of people, that's crazy. So a lot of coaches will take practice off. They'll have like a ice bath day or a hot tub day. They all come into the training ground. They all
No, they were all in different countries. There's pictures on their social medias of them in different countries with their girlfriends on holidays, like actual holidays, right? Amram had them training during these periods and they weren't getting injuries. Okay. So Carrick gave them 12 days off And now they go back to training and Martinez has a calf injury because they weren't training enough. Yeah. We went out. So from my point of view, Carrick is actually undoing the very best thing that Amram did when he was in charge. And what he's also doing is, see the next manager that comes in, when we do hire a permanent manager, they're going to have to start all over again what Amram did in the dressing room. He's rewinding the progress for a temporary fix. So whoever comes in, he's actually making the next person's job harder. He's undoing the positives that Amram did. So the longer this goes on, the less I want him. He's actually proving, and when we first got him, I actually said, if he does a good job, he shouldn't be given the job, but he should be interviewed. He should be given the opportunity to interview if he does well for the rest of the season. Because HR, right. If you do a good job, you get the opportunity. I wouldn't have handed it to him. I would have interviewed him. But see, the more I see, the more I'm like, do you know what? I wouldn't even give you an interview. Honestly. For me, he's making it worse. So that is why I don't want him.
You know what? You did just blow my mind, Lou. I didn't see any. I did not see any. I'm listening to all the stuff that you're saying. I'm like, wow, that's a massive problem.
It makes sense, though.
I've always been. I think you've heard me speak about this when I've been on the terrace and stuff about, from the outside in about Man United, which is like, I always feel like the biggest issue with Man United is the culture in the locker room. Mm-hmm. The players don't play for the same cause. They play for their own causes individually, I feel, a little bit.
And I think Amram took some of that away.
Yeah, you mentioned Love Island, and I do feel like a lot of your players have become like these social media sort of characters, especially you're talking about guys like Garnacho.
Yeah. Flossie's right? Back in the chat. She's fighting against the YouTube grandmas.
There it is. Big up Flossie. She's in my chat a lot now, which, love to see.
She's a lady. Absolute lady.
Yeah, I've always said that your biggest issue. This is why everybody kind of clowned me and laughed at me when I said that I thought Southgate would be a good solution for Man United, because he would have you down back to basics a little bit. He would also have you a little bit more well drilled on the defensive side. But one thing he did to England is he completely erased the toxic cultures of let's call it what it is, tribalism within as well. Like players didn't like playing with each other because they were rivals with their clubs. And when it came to England, their egos were so big. He got everybody to love each other, be like, we're all English. He brought in that culture that you had in Spain, where you played players from Madrid and Barcelona, and on the pitch they would be massive rivals into the season. But when they put on the Spain shirt together, Sergio Ramos and Xavi and Iniesta are all getting along and playing well together, like a well-drilled unit. And that is what Southgate brought to England. I always kind of felt like he would have, he's stated now on multiple occasions he's not interested in coming back into management, but I thought that he would have something along that sort of profile in terms of how he manages a team, because you do need the on the pitch and the off the pitch. And by the way, for all the people Southgate's criticisms, he had England on the pitch playing better than they had in decades.
What I think it is with Southgate, because obviously I'm not an England fan. I don't follow international.
Yeah, I know you're an Ireland fan. You'd be the opposite.
And there's no point in watching international football when you're an Ireland fan at the minute. Other than
guys can qualify for the World Cup.
Yeah. But I think the main issue a lot of people have with Southgate, from listening to England fans, because I don't feel like I'm qualified to have a really strong opinion, because I didn't watch him with the same emotion as some of the other United England fans did. So I kind of defer to them. But I think a big problem with Southgate is aura. When you walk into a dressing room like Man United's, you must have aura. You must have the intangible. Okay. So one of the people I've spoken a lot about recently is Liam Rosenio. Okay. At Chelsea.
He's got zero aura.
I think he has great aura. I
really?
think he has serious aura. I think he doesn't look overawed. He doesn't care.
I should zip my lip because we're playing him on the weekend. This will come back.
Yeah, you be careful. But actually, this is going to take us to full circle to what I was saying before. People are afraid to be wrong. People are afraid to look silly. People are afraid to say things and then backtrack or say, I've changed my mind. New information has come in. I'm a fan. I make emotional opinions. I have changed my mind. I might say today, I don't want Carrick. See if he wins another 3 in a row. I might say he's fantastic. I don't know. But I'm a fan. It's my
puts you in a tough position. You're like, I know what he's doing off behind the scenes, but we're winning. So
now I have to say, I'm the type of person that I'm like, no, when I know he's rocking the foundation, it's a no from me. But it's an example. Yeah. So like, I'll give you a better example. Bruno. Okay, Bruno Fernandes. I have to specify on this channel because we have Bruno G for Newcastle. And sometimes we get a fright when we say things. So when Bruno G got his injury, someone come in the chat and said, Bruno's injured. This is what's wrong with him. Everyone was like, what? And we're like, no, the other Bruno. So I have to specify here. I mean Bruno Fernandes. So I'm not a major Bruno Fernandes fan. Okay?
Yeah, you've made that very clear.
But when he does well, when he has a good game, I'll say that was great. So the other day, the pass in the United game, I've not even had time to do a match reaction for that because I've just had so much on, okay? But the pass from Cunha to Mbeumo, I said in the chat to David, I was like, that was a very Bruno-esque kind of...
Oh, David's on the other side. He loves Bruno.
He does, but... I wasn't like, just because I don't think Bruno's sensational, I appreciate everything he did for us when he came. I still think he's a very good player, but if someone's going to give us 100 million, I'm going to snap your hand off at his age. He's going to be 34 soon. But just because I don't think he's absolutely like sensational the way David does, for example, doesn't mean I'm not going to give him credit. And so what happens then is when I say something nice about Bruno, so my stance on Bruno is quite well known, okay? But so when I say something nice about Bruno, you will get a selection of people who will be like, oh, but you don't like Bruno. You were wrong. Ha, 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 ha. And I'm like, no, I can just have more than one thought at the same time. It's incredible. It's really great. Do you know, like, and I think that's what happens is the bigger you get, the more people you have coming at you going, oh, well, this was your opinion. Therefore, you're not ever allowed to think anything else ever differently. Okay. And so people are afraid of looking silly. But back to Rosenio, because you see this, Anton, how I just link it all in. Rosenio, for me, doesn't care how silly he looks. He couldn't give a flying fig roll. He's talking about clapping. He was asked, right? So all the rumors about the Lego and the hand washing and all the rest of it. And he was asked in one of his press conferences. I watched some of his press conferences, exactly, aging men. And so everybody was laughing at him. And as we've said, social media filters into the dressing room. He's a young man. He's very aware of social media, obviously. Okay, so he had seen all of this. He knew he was being made laugh of. He knew he was being joked about. He knew everybody thought he was a nobody. He wasn't going to be good enough. But he was asked about it in his press conference, right? And see if you can find it. I found it on.
I don't know why they ask these questions. Why do they ask these questions? This is the problem.
His answer was great.
Yeah.
So they said to him, are you gonna, what is this? You know, there's lots of talk about your tactics. They're a bit unusual. You know, what do you have to say to the people laughing at you, basically? And he said, because they were after winning. And so he said, well, I'm going to be doing more clapping with my gloves off if they keep winning matches. And that was it. He was just like, cool as a cucumber. He was like, I don't care. Laugh. I'm winning. What are you going to do? Do you know? And I just thought it was real aura. He didn't care. He was like, I don't care if you think it's silly. It's working. Therefore, your opinion is entirely irrelevant. And he didn't do it in a nasty way. He didn't do it in an angry way. He did it in a real just like, I'm just going to keep clapping. You know
what?
Like, and to me, that's aura.
You turn me around on so many of these topics.
You tell me what you think and I'll know.
Now I'm wondering if Maresca had aura. Maybe that's the reason why he's out of there.
I think he was crazy. I think he had no aura at all. None. Do you know who I think?
Please, Maresca, go to Manchester City, please.
Oh, I think he has no aura. I think if he goes to Manchester City after Pep, I think they collapse.
Actually, question: Do you maybe this is insecurities here? Do you think Arteta has aura? Has aura?
Actually, do you know what? I think he does a little bit. I do, genuinely. Because again, I think he's aware of what people say. So one of the things that Arteta is bashed to death with, he's very animated on the sideline. He's very animated. He's he's all over the place. He's doing the YMCA, okay?
Yeah.
And people make a laugh of him because they're like, oh, there he is again. He's up at it.
Which is funny when Wenger used to sit back in his seat and everybody used to say, I want somebody who gets up on the touchline and is, pumps it. And then the minute we have one, we take the piss out of him. I'm like, which one do you want?
But he doesn't care because that has been talked about for years. And you see, if he cared, he would have went into himself and he would have stopped. And he hasn't. If anything, I think he does it more. So I can see Streets is laughing. Streets is a United fan who hasn't confirmed. He's definitely updated it because it was definitely black before. So unless my YouTube has changed in the color, he has changed his new logo. But Streets says Rosenio and Aura, hell nah. But do you want to know something? That's fine. Streets has a different opinion than me. It's okay. And you know what it is?
No, the way Lou
I don't have to
you explain your points very well. I'll say, like, when your title, I go, huh? What is she about to say? And then when you actually go in and actually say it, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, no, actually that makes very sense. Yeah,
it's crazy, isn't it? Imagine, right, where you work, because obviously you work with Irish people. Imagine I'm your HR, and you come in and you say something to me, and I'm like, well, imagine doing your performance review with me. I did in the company I worked for before. It was a betting company, but so I wrote the training program, and then I wrote the assessments, and then I personally oversaw the assessments. And then when they had to do, like, when they got their feedback after their what do you call the period, the trial period? What do you call that? Probation. I would do their review with them. I did this for like hundreds of people. Imagine sitting in your performance review with me. I'm very nice, but I'm also a disaster. I would hate to sit in a room with me. I'd be so mad. I'd want to kill me. I'd like want to drag me over the desk. Like, shut up. You just argumentative cow. But anyway, now I do this. I just annoy everybody on the internet. But Anton.
So do I. So we have that in common.
We are going to loop all the way back round to Aura.
Let's go back.
Oh, no. We were always going all the way back. Don't worry. There's always a purpose. Even if I don't have a plan, it links up very quickly in my head. I think I am not diagnosed. I'm convinced I have some form of ADHD or something because my brain doesn't work in a normal way.
All the time. When I get on streams, I forget words in the English dictionary. I'm like, what?
Everything.
And then I can turn off the camera and those words, I can say it clearly.
Bing, bing, bing. Yeah. But, Anton, we are going to go back to Aura because we're going to talk about the title race, obviously. I brought you on. You thought we were going to talk about the title race. And instead I was like, is the agenda real? What do you think of Rosenio? Also, can I just say, because I know a lot of people, and you might be wondering this, Anton, and you're too polite to ask. The reason I'm calling him Rosenio instead of Rosinia, which is what you hear everybody say, is because in that same press conference, no, not the same one, it was actually an earlier one. So one of his very first press conferences.
They asked him how to pronounce his name.
Yeah. They asked him, they literally said to him, how do we say your name? And he says, well, my dad says Rosenio. And now everybody's calling him Rosinia. And I'm like, it's not even close. I'm sure the man knows how to say his own name. Do you know what it is? See if it's awkward to pronounce or if it's a sound that we don't normally make in English. I can understand why people maybe don't want to look silly or maybe can't wrap their mouth around the sound. Rosenio is very easy to say. It's like Pinot.
Rosenio.
Yeah. But he's like, he literally told us how to say it.
I think this is back when he played for Hull. Everyone knew him as Liam Rosinia, right? So it's like many years of training
ingrained in your brain.
Yeah, I think that's.
But it's also the same. Like our goalkeeper at United, his name is Sene Lamens.
Yeah, Sene Lamens.
It's not Lemens. It's not Lemons. It's not Lemon. It's Lamens.
I mean, I only say lemons just to take the piss. Like,
but you know that's not correct. You're bantering.
Yeah.
United fans are calling them that. United fans are calling them lemons.
Now you're seeing the things I say when I'm complaining about Arsenal fans being self-deprecating. Now you're seeing it too.
Right, but his name isn't a matter of opinion. They asked him, how do we say your name? Every player we sign, they do a video of them saying their own name.
You want to hear a great example, Lou? Right? Christian Norgard, when he signed for Arsenal, they did the social media stuff. They go, how do you pronounce your name? And he goes, Christian Newfield. And everyone's like, what? That's how you pronounce your name, actually? But I can't get behind that. Norgard for me is easier to say than Norfjord.
But I can understand that, okay, when it's something you literally can't pronounce, okay? La Mens, Rosenio, they're not difficult. Do you know what I mean? They're not hard names. Just like they literally have a video saying it. It's one of those little things. And look at this lot laughing at me. They're just laughing because they know these little things, Anton. See the big things. I'm like, it's grand, whatever. It's fine. The little things, I'm like, just say his name. Just say it. Lawmens, Rosenio. It's so easy. It's like Pep. How hard? Imagine if we started calling him Pip.
Well, same thing with Jökeres. His pronunciation, his name is Jökeres. He has an umlaut in the O.
Right, now say that for me.
Jökeres.
Yeah, but how are you saying that?
Jökeres.
But it sounds like you're saying a U in the middle. Jökeres.
Yeah, the G is silent, right?
No, that.
Jökeres. O with the dots, right?
Right, but say it when I'm not talking, right? 1, 2, 3.
Jökeres.
Right. Now, see the way you're saying Jökeres, okay? Yeah. If I was an Arsenal fan, I would not promote that. The reason I would not promote that, because Jökeres sounds very hard to say, and that will turn into Jökeres. Like Jökeres.
It has become Jökeres.
But it's going to be Jökeres as in yuck. Jökeres is what's going to... Jökeres. It's going to turn into yuck. So I would not promote
everybody
that.
said it a different way. People going, who's the... Hugo, who I go on with on Goodness Therapy sometimes is also from ATV, goes, I think he says Eucharist.
But that's what I mean. Be very careful what you wish for, because that's going to end up as yuck. It's going to end up as yuck, and it's not a name you want.
It's become
now,
yuck.
These are laughing at me. No, but yuck is okay. Yuck is different, as in yucky, as in yucky, it's not nice. Yeah. So,
I'm sure rival fans already got that. It doesn't matter. They can call him whatever you want to. Like I call Destiny Udogi Destiny Udogi style. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, there's a guy that Ash can't say his name. Akadore.
So Arukadare at Wolves.
That one. Ash can't say that.
I call him Abracadabra.
Well, Ash calls him Crocodile.
No, I call him Abracadabra.
He just can't say it. But Ash, Anton, would you please say the word Sunderland for me?
Oh, Sunderland.
Oh, you say it right. Everybody, because I say Sunderland, like Disneyland, Ireland.
Maybe because my American accent, we pronounce everything as it's spelled.
No, but you pronounce it the way they do. You say Sunderland.
Americans would struggle with Eucharist because they'd be like, it would fry their brain.
That's unusual even for me, though.
Because we pronounce things as it's spelt, right?
Yeah.
Right, which is why we pronounce R's at the end, right? It's not like sugar, it's sugar, right?
Yeah, but that's just let's not insult all of the people in the chat.
I'm not. I'm going the other way. I'm telling you that Americans spell things as it's pronounce things as it's spelled rather than. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not insulting anybody.
I was going to. No, not you. I was going to insult them. Because I was going to say that's just English people that don't pronounce the R. Because in Ireland we say sugar.
No, Australians.
You know what I mean?
I live here in Australia. Australians don't just pronounce R's. Sugar.
To me, it sounds like they're trying to say some rapper's name, Sugar. Like Ice Spice Sugar.
And everything is shortened here.
No. Right, back to football, because otherwise we'll be off on one. It's easy to get off on one. There you go, Mama Flossie, Sugar. But what I was going to say to you, because you've actually been very reasonable, so you basically don't feel like, essentially what you would be voting on is nobody's picking on you, all the big teams get a bit of bantering. Basically is where you would be at on this poll.
It's interesting.
Because can you see the options, or do you want me to read them again?
The thing is I would differentiate it, because I think there are different things apply to different pundits. I'll give you an example. Jamie O'Hara,
including fans as well in here.
Right. Jamie O'Hara, as an example, is somebody who's on the media, but we all know he's a former Tottenham player. He is a Tottenham fan. So when he says anything that's hatred about Arsenal, the way it translates into my brain is, why are we all triggered by that? He's a Tottenham fan. Of course, this is going to be his opinion. right? He's now allowed his kind of fandom to bleed into his punditry,
Yeah.
where there's a person, somebody who you expect to remain professional, and they start to speak in banterous terms,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna be like, you're trying too hard, or you are a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like one of the two. It's when fan content suddenly becomes part of professional punditry,
Yeah.
which I think is something that's a issue across the board when it comes to everybody's teams, right?
The
But
line is blurring.
I do feel the truth is that there is a massive hatred from Arsenal. If you're not right now, I feel like if you're not an Arsenal fan, just hate Arsenal. Everyone doesn't want to see you succeed, which, by the way, that's like that in every sport. Like,
it's completely normal.
I feel like I go for the team that everybody hates, regardless of where I am. Like in America, I'm a big Eagles fan. The Eagles are the Arsenal of the NFL. Everyone hates us. Everyone, everyone hates everything that we do well. Everyone, they want to mock it. They want to throw it out of the game. Same thing with Arsenal. Arsenal do corners well. Oh, look at this dark arts corners team is ruining the game. That stuff, though, that is not stuff that I think is normal, though. I do think that is media agenda, because we're talking about things. When you say Arsenal being good at set pieces is ruining football. Arsenal, by the way, we've been accused for long throws where we don't even do them well. Like we conceded to a long throw against Brentford. Brentford does long throws. We don't really, we try it. We're not good at it. Right. So like that thing, like, Arsenal only score from long throws. I'm like, we have not scored a single goal from a long throw this season. So it's when people start to lie and make things up. And then say, oh, it's Arsenal are ruining the game. If they win the league like this, it's not good for football. When people, we're saving football if we don't allow, like, I feel like that, again, it comes from fan-driven content, which should not be repeated by the national media. So I reckon all of them are true in different ways. All those options are true.
But do you have a problem with fans saying that? So if other fans are saying, "Oh, Arsenal are ruining football by doing this,"
but when Jamie Carragher says that,
so you
I have
only
a problem with Jamie Carragher saying that.
Mainstream media, basically.
Yeah, because when I go to mainstream media, I am looking for objective content. I'm looking, like, for example, and I feel like this happened in politics as well. There used to be certain channels that are left and are right. Somehow now the channels that were meant to be central are more left than anything, right? Which, as a lefty myself, I have no issue with. But I can tell I know from friends of mine who are on the right hand side feel like, well, now I no longer have an unbiased middle network that just delivers me the news anymore, because everything now is seeped in bias. And I do think that's not good. I think people need a voice in the middle that goes, I don't have an agenda. I'm just delivering you the news. And it's that stuff is starting to disappear, honestly, in all walks of life.
I have two points on that. So one of them, I understand what you're saying. When you go to mainstream media, what you're looking at is kind of impartiality. You want the middle. You want the facts. The problem with that is punditry is literally opinions. A pundit is there to give their opinion based on their experience. So I don't think I can understand the want for that. I don't actually think it's possible, because I don't think pundits are ever actually down the middle. I think it's always opinion, and anything that's opinion based is going to have a bias. So I understand the want for it. I understand that maybe it's not actually possible. But I have a follow-up question. Do you feel like, well, I have two follow-up questions, actually. So the first one is probably a little bit quicker. Do you feel like this bias has only been this season, or do you feel like it's been consistent? So do you feel like the level of it against Arsenal, or and I have heard this narrative, Arsenal are ruining football if they win this way. Do you feel like that's exclusive to this season, or it's ramped up this season, or do you feel like it's been at that level for a while?
I feel like this is something that goes all the way back to when we were in the mud, when under Arsene Wenger, when we were, at our worst. I remember that we can go all the way back to 2014. Now, this is when Arsenal did break their 10-year duck and we won an FA Cup that season. But remember, people don't forget that season as well. We just bought Mesut Ozil, and up until around this time that year, until we got thrashed at Anfield and at Stamford Bridge on back-to-back weeks, we were leading the title race that year. Nobody ever took Arsenal seriously. Everybody were always bantering and clowning Arsenal the whole time. Any pundit, there's always been this like, Arsenal are this banter club. This is what we expect of Arsenal to be, this banter club. And if Arsenal start to break the mold of what we need them to be in terms of society, we start to get uncomfortable and we start to lean back on that banter. I feel like it's been something that's been going on for a very long time. I used to actually attack ESPN. They used to do it before anybody else. Specific pundits on ESPN were, regardless of what Arsenal did, they could have won 6-0 that day. It would be discredited. It would be tongue-in-cheek sort of backhanded compliments sort of stuff when we would do well. And then the next week when we didn't do well, inevitably, it was a roast. I feel like at that time, though, Sky, as an example, was a lot less like that when it came to Arsenal.
Okay.
It's developed, this stuff has developed over time. The more that Arsenal has done well, I too feel like people feel a bit more threatened, like our little bubble, our status quo is about to get shaken, and we can't allow this status quo to get shaken. And I think that's where it comes from. For instance, for Manchester United right now, I think you're struggling a little bit with that too, for a certain respect. In fact, you went from the other way. It took people a very, very long time for people to realize that Man United were the standard, and people to realize that all of a sudden they're not the standard. And now you're in where we were at, and you're going to go through the same stuff when you guys are inevitably going to be good again, because I do think you will be.
We're still getting it. We're still getting it from the first time we were good. But that goes to my next question. So Arsenal are getting it at the minute. And the more successful they're becoming, so this season when they might actually win the title, this is the loudest it's been. So do you think that it's actually picking on Arsenal? Do you think it's about Arsenal? Or do you think it's about picking on the team that's being successful? Do you think this is specific to Arsenal?
I'm going to be honest with you, Lou. This is what I think it is. I think it's fear. I think that doesn't answer my question. It does answer your question, though.
Do you think this is specific to Arsenal? This is only happening to Arsenal?
It doesn't happen to Manchester City.
I disagree, but carry on.
It doesn't happen to Liverpool. I'm talking about for the mainstream
Liverpool,
media.
actually, no, I don't think it does happen to Liverpool. That one I will give you. Nobody talks about Liverpool. Baffles me.
Liverpool, by the way, can let this season completely off the hook. Yeah. When they bought Alexander Isak, I'm going to say it on your channel here because, when they bought Alexander Isak, everyone told me, and by the way, I was the quiet one who's saying, actually, I think Arsenal's squad is better built. Seems like I was right in the end. Oh, they're going to win by a landslide this season. They're already the champions. They spent all this money.
I remember that.
They're going to win by a landslide, right? It's not even, we might as well not watch the Premier League this season because Liverpool is going to win it by like 20 to 30 points this year. That's what everybody was saying.
I know for a fact Flossie is very mad she can't comment right now because she would be backing you so hard. Because don't forget, Flossie's a Newcastle fan. Where did Isak come from? So Flossie remembers this vividly. So in spirit, I know she's backing you in the chat right now.
Right.
Oh, carry on.
But so there was your standard. And by the way, I wrote you were there as well because, KJ made us all fill out our predictions for the whole season. And I put as my biggest flop or my biggest underachieving club this year was going to be Liverpool. And everyone's looking at me like, no, you are really a hater. I'm like, sorry. By definition, if you have said Liverpool's running away with the league, even if they come second, or even they are their biggest underachievers.
So,
well, no one saw this coming, but yet nobody is talking about it. They're barely going to qualify for Europa League or even in the Champions League. They were meant to be 20 to 30 point clear of the Premier League title.
I 100% agree. I've done actually probably about 3 videos on this because nobody's talking about it. So I just keep talking about it. Okay. So this one, I 100% agree with. But taking it away from Arsenal, we're going to come back to Arsenal, but taking it away from Arsenal for a minute. And this is a genuine question, so think before you answer. Do you believe genuinely if Manchester City broke the record spend for a striker and bought Alexander Isak, everybody said they were going to run away with the league and they were languishing where Liverpool are? Do you think it will be getting more attention than Liverpool are getting this season for the exact same scenario?
No, I don't think they would be getting the attention either. You know why I know that? You know why I know that? Because last season, by the way, they finished third. Mm-hmm. They were the overall champion. And you know who gets the slack for not winning the title last year? My club. But they're the team that was like into the season as the favorite, as 4 times in a row winners. They also spent a lot of money last year as well. They spent a lot in January as well.
But don't compare it to Arsenal or anybody else. Do you think City would get more or less slack than Liverpool?
Why? No one cares about them, which is why all of you guys prefer them to win over us for some weird reason.
Forget about Arsenal. We're not talking about Arsenal. I asked you a question about Liverpool and Manchester City.
Yeah.
And you're talking about Arsenal winning the
title.
I'm
saying...
No. Okay. I asked you a question. In the question, I mentioned Liverpool and I mentioned Manchester City.
Yeah.
I did not mention Arsenal. Okay. So in my question about Liverpool and Manchester City, your answer was Arsenal winning the league. Okay. This rubs rival fans up the wrong way because I'm not saying anything about Arsenal. I asked you a question. Do you believe in the exact same scenario that Manchester City would get more, the same, or less attention than Liverpool is currently getting if no other teams existed?
They would get the same or even less.
Okay. So I believe they would get more than Liverpool. Okay. I think Manchester City would get more slack than Liverpool. You think the same or less. Okay. Now, again, exact same scenario if it was Man United.
Oh, more.
Times a million.
Yeah.
So, my opinion, just to give it kind of color then.
There are 3 clubs that I would say are in that category that would
We're going to get there.
That. Yeah.
We're going to get to there. There's a theme. Have you not noticed? I build. You can't jump to the end, Anton. You have to build. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
So, I think Liverpool genuinely completely fly under the radar. I cannot believe they're not being talked about. They are the current reigning champions. They broke the record spend. He now has a broken leg. Slot's going to get sacked. I think they're a shambles, and I can't believe they're not getting spoken about. I think it's horrendous. So I agree with you. The media just ignores Liverpool. And I don't understand why, because historically, they're almost as big as United. So it baffles me. City, I think, would get a bit more attention than Liverpool.
Can you tell me why you believe that, though? Because I feel like in their standpoint, they become a little bit unimportant because of their historically. I know more recently they're the most successful club in England by a landslide, but historically they have no history. People don't really see them as people don't really see. They don't actually have as many genuine haters, which still for me, given the way they're run, makes no sense to me. But I feel like they don't. I'm
going to answer your question by going back to something you said. Okay. So when we spoke about Arsenal a few minutes ago, we more or less agreed that the more successful Arsenal have been, the more the criticism has ramped up. And that this season, which is so far the most likely you have been to win the Premier League, is when the noise has been the loudest. Okay? Which tells me more success equals more noise and criticism. We more or less agreed that a few minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, City have been in and around success for a decade. Therefore, regardless of history, they're an active threat. They're active, they're threatening, they're taking titles away from our club. So when we talked about Fergie and Wenger, the reason we hate each other is because they took trophies off each other. So while City have no historical relevance, they're currently relevant and they're currently taking trophies away from our teams. Therefore, I do believe there would be noise because people have gotten used to them being successful. It's become a habit. So I'm going to point you to last season. One player got injured. Pep split up with his partner. Okay? Their entire season was a goddamn write-off. As you say, they finished in third.
But no one said a thing.
No. Of course they did. Were you deaf? The entire season, all I heard was, you can't blame a whole drop-off on one player. You can't give excuses just because Rodri's injured. Are you a one-man team? It was all I could hear everywhere I turned. You can't. It's not a one-man team. You should be able to do it without Rodri. Are they saying that when Rodri comes back next season, they're going to win the league? This was an entire narrative for the whole season. You definitely heard those things because you stopped talking.
I did, but it's not the same as what we get.
People did talk about it. I didn't say it was the same because I said we're actively not speaking about Arsenal in this scenario.
Right.
And see, you're going back to comparing it to Arsenal. But see, this for me is where you're misjudging it because you're comparing it to Arsenal. So forget about Arsenal. We know people are talking about Arsenal. Nobody disagrees about that, okay? But your first reaction was, nobody spoke about that. And then I mentioned some of the things that were said, and your reaction was, well, yes, okay, I did hear those things. So my point was, Liverpool's not getting talked about. Because other than Salah and Slot having a fight, nobody spoke about them all season. I think City, which as proven by last season, would get spoken about. More than Liverpool. I think United still gets spoken about more than that. And we haven't been in a title race for 10 years. And we still get spoken about more. Do you know why?
The way people were speaking about you on before the West Ham game, on your almost your haircut game, right? The pressure I saw in your football club, the amount of people that were upset because you still picked up a point.
Anton, we're unbeaten. We are the top team in 2026. Our keeper has made more saves per 90 than any other keeper in
that's not
the Premier
a great stat, by the way. That
League.
means you're under pressure a lot defensively.
It means we're keeping the ball out of the net.
Yeah, but it also means that you're giving up a lot of shots, though.
Oh, yeah, but we know we're doing that. We finished 15th, Anton, and people are mad because we're in 4th. Oh my God.
Actually, question, Lou. I want to actually question for you, right? You're talking about bringing up 15th. We're talking about Liverpool.
Yeah.
Do you think Tottenham Hotspur's do you think Tottenham Hotspur's potential to go down is being overblown at this point?
No.
Because you don't.
I've gone the other way.
Because I feel like you've been there and I'm like you did come out the other side. You know what I mean? Like,
I think when the conversations first started, so I actually literally said this to Kate today on Kate and Jimbo. I was on there live. And I literally said to them today, when Kate first mentioned it about 3 weeks ago, I thought she was being dramatic. Now, I think it's absolutely possible. I don't think it's probable. I think it's genuinely possible, though. And I think it very much depends how some of these unpredictable games go. I think it's very possible. So I went the other way. I went from thinking other people were being dramatic to genuinely believing it's possible. Whereas I think there are probably some people like Rivals probably blowing it up. Like you said, the law of attraction, they want to believe it into existence. But no, I think it's a genuine possibility now. Yeah. I think the guy they've brought in, Igor Tudor, he is literally a specialist in going to crisis clubs. That's what he does. He's made a career. I actually did a video on him. I do videos on everything, Anton. I just love to talk.
I know, which is that's why you great content. You know,
if you ever want a video on something, I've probably done one. People started talking about Igor Thiago, and I was like, done it about 2 weeks ago. Video on Brentford, done it. Video on Keith Andrews, done it. You name it, I've done it. I did a video on Maresca about a month before.
Did you do one on Antoine Semenyo before he became hot?
No, actually, no. I didn't do a video on him. I love him. I love him so much.
I used to, and now he put on that blue shirt. Recently,
yeah, we'll see between him and Eze. But we're going to go back to that, because actually that's a thing I've spoken about on several videos. Actually, the comparison between Eze and Semenyo. So I suppose technically, yes, more than one is the answer. If there's anything ever that you're like, I wonder if anyone done a video on this, probably. Most likely. I just love it. I love it so much. But I've lost my train of thought. We were talking about noise.
Tottenham.
Yes. No. We'll come back to Tottenham in a wee minute. But my point was, I believe, yes, this season, Arsenal are being spoken about more. I think you're being bantered more. I think you're being criticised more. However,
I think we're being praised by certain people more too. Like, people make videos about us all the time. I think
100%.
that needs to be said. But it's
You're
not
definitely getting
all.
praise.
It's not all in the negative category.
No.
There are plenty in the positive as well.
But my point is, I don't think you're being picked on. I don't feel like, oh, they're going. I don't think it's because it's Arsenal. Okay, so I think if Man United had been in your position, I think if Man United had been top of the league at Christmas 5 times now, it's this year made it 5, and not one of them did we win the league, we would never for the rest of our lives hear the end of it. I think we would be getting called bottlers. I think we would be getting called bridesmaid. I think we would be getting called everything you're getting called, and probably worse. Okay?
Yeah.
So for me, I don't think you're being picked on because you're Arsenal. I don't think people hate Arsenal. I think some clubs attract more noise naturally. So United is one of them. Arsenal clearly is one of them. I think some clubs skirt under the radar.
Still don't know why Liverpool isn't one of them. They should be in our category. It's an anomaly for me. Like,
it does. It
crazy.
baffles me. But so some clubs like Liverpool, for an unknown reason, fly under the radar. It's incredible. Okay, and then you have the likes of City and Chelsea, who do get some noise, but nowhere near the level of an Arsenal or a United. So my thing is, those are probably the way the land lies, okay? And then you have to factor in the current level of success or threat to other teams, okay? So I think if you take a club like an Arsenal or a United that already naturally gets a lot of attention, and therefore a lot of criticism and banter from rivals, and then you add success, I think what it does is it lights a fire under it. And I think it spreads, and I think it becomes more prominent. I don't think anybody's picking on you. Yeah, I think you're a well-known club who's experiencing success, and therefore your rivals want to tear you down. I think it's the most normal thing in football fandom I've ever seen. And I see so many people being like, oh, you're just picking on us because we're Arsenal. Oh my God, they only do it to Arsenal. Nobody talks about that when it's City. And I'm like, okay, but they do. Right. And you know what? I want to give you an example. Okay. Because you were talking earlier and you said about the bottling thing. You don't like it. And it's essentially the word bottling has now become synonymous with the word Arsenal. It really has. Also, we've come up with a new word for this. Okay. So as you know, I do have some Arsenal fans that come into my streams and my chats. Okay. And so some of them don't also like the word bottle. So we have come up with the word fumble. You're fumbling it.
That's an NFL word.
But it's a little bit more like pleasing to the ear than bottling. To be honest, bottling sounds quite vicious. Fumbling means like you're trying your best, but you're slipping over. You're fumbling it. You're
choking.
Not, like,
that's what I use the word. I use the word choking in
See, yeah, I don't like that word. I like fumbling. But again, that's a preference. Do you know what I mean?
But in football, where fumble comes from, you can recover your own fumble. It's not always the end.
So it's a better word then. It's a better word.
Sure.
So you're fumbling. At the moment, you're fumbling a little bit.
I mean,
But
I
you can
reckon
pick
we
it back
were
up.
fumbling, and then we just, had a resounding victory.
I think when you go from 7 points to 2, you've been fumbling.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm saying maybe you can recover. I'm undecided.
It's actually happened, by the way.
I don't know.
It happened twice this year. Remember when we went to Stamford Bridge? We would have beaten Chelsea in that day. We could have got 8 points clear without with anything, right?
But we fumbled
and
top
then
four
by the
3
time
times.
we played Villa, lost to Villa, right?
Yeah.
City had cut it to 2. But then we spent an entire month of Arsenal winning, and City winning alongside of us. Then we hit January and City had their big slip up. We almost, if it wasn't for the fact that it would have been 8, yes, had, City not gotten that penalty at the end of the game, right? We're at that juncture again. And then all of a sudden, we're back at potentially 2 with the game in hand. So we've seen it already happen this season. I'm just hoping that we get another period, one more period with the last 10 games to go in this season where City have one more bad period like that.
Yeah.
And then then for me, I think it's,
Yeah. But I mean, so people saying during those periods, so I prefer the word fumbling, but that's a personal preference, okay?
Yeah.
So when people are saying you're bottling, okay, while it might be irritating, it's not because you're Arsenal, it's because if any team on the planet goes from 7 points ahead to 2 points ahead, they're going to be told they're bottling. And I don't care. When City had opportunities to close the gap and they didn't, people said they bottled it. So under Amorim, 3 times we had the opportunity when other teams dropped points to move into the top 4. We didn't. And you know what people said? We bottled it. We bottled going into top 4.
But you know where you are now, right? Comfortably sitting in top 4.
But my point is, people use the word. It's not we're picking on Arsenal. It's the word of the moment. It's the popular word. Do you know words go through phases? And sometimes I don't like overuse. When things are overused, it actually puts me off them completely. So literally, I don't like the word bottled because
the thing that
hearing
annoys
it.
me though, the thing that annoys me about Lou is, I think factually correct. The fact that we were 7-2 is concerning. You could see it on my face. If anybody was sat in there with me and Cal during our live stream of just Brentford, we didn't even make it to the Wolves live stream, and then thank God we didn't. But
Brentford's a good team too.
Yeah, no, of course. That I think is correct. The issue that I had with it was people were already starting to use that word after Arsenal had just won a game 3-0. The next day, a different team wins. That has nothing to do with Arsenal, as you keep telling me. This has nothing to do with Arsenal. But
separate.
The narrative is Arsenal are bottling it. But Man City won the game today. Man City on that day, if they had not won, that was their play. Their lives were on the line in terms of maybe, that title race. Because I feel like that would have blown the lead way too far open, where I feel like they would have probably stopped to really give a shit. I mean,
what
right?
I would say, where I agree with you on this exact point, if you drop points, that's you bottling.
Yeah, but
if they win points, that's, unless you're the team playing them, that's not up to you.
Right.
So I agree with that.
But see, that's the problem I had with it, is that word, it's not about it being used now. It's about at that point, before we even played Brentford, by the way, they won again. Arsenal are bottling this, but we haven't kicked the ball between Sunderland and Brentford. That's being used before, I feel like, played a part in those next 2 results, because you could tell the team played with incredible anxiety and nervousness, and basically because that pressure had been put upon them by even our own fan base, by us using that term before it was even applicable.
Yeah.
You get that's my issue.
I understand that. But I don't think that it's only Arsenal where there's unfair narratives being used, okay? Or where things that aren't about Arsenal. So when City win a match, it's about Arsenal because you're in a title race together. Right. Fair enough. But outside of that, like, City winning points, if they're not playing you, is nothing to do with you.
Right.
So to create the narrative, I'm going somewhere, don't get too happy, but to create the narrative that, well, Arsenal are bottling it because City won a match, I think is unfair. I agree with you. So I put to you, what do you think of the narrative that unfair calls were made against Newcastle? Newcastle were robbed in the match against Manchester City. And I have seen several people say Arsenal robbed. Arsenal were not in the match. Arsenal did not play a minute. There was no Arsenal on. It was Manchester City versus Newcastle. And I have seen several, and I do mean genuinely several videos, people talking about the decisions being given against Newcastle, and in their titles, Arsenal robbed. So in the same token,
I disagree with that sentiment as well.
Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Completely irrelevant. Genuinely, Anton, I saw this on more than one occasion today. Genuinely, I couldn't believe it. I was like,
the funny thing is that
wrong video.
There was so much outrage with, the Spurs disallowed goal because of Gabriel. I didn't see people saying City robbed.
Nobody ever says
it was Spurs robbed. It was Spurs robbed. But when you put it on maybe this is actually an example of the polar opposite, where Arsenal actually let off of giving more support, I guess. I'm not in this. I don't know where to put it, because you can put it on either side. To be honest,
my point is, while it does happen to Arsenal, it's not always Arsenal. Poor Newcastle have had the worst
whole year.
Decision.
Do you see the PSG game in the Champions League?
It's all terrible. I do a show once a week with Ash.
I know.
Every single decision.
He sends me the screenshots all the time.
It's great.
They're so funny. Sometimes he'll just send me a personal message. Be like, Anton, without any bias or anything, like, can you see this thing? Tell me what you actually think of this decision.
I love that. I did. I know.
I'm like,
honestly.
Okay.
But I understand him. I do, because I have Flossie and Ash. So I have the two. So I have not missed a single decision this season for Newcastle. None of them.
Yeah.
So when I saw a video about Newcastle, who have been consistently robbed this season, 100%, they've been absolutely disastrously refereed this season, okay? Against City. And people are using that as an opportunity to say Arsenal robbed. I'm like, what that does is brings hate to Arsenal and their fans, because it's a ridiculous thing. And what I will say is, of the multiple videos that I saw with this, none of the people saying it were Arsenal fans. They were rivals, outside rivals. So my thing is, the next time something happens around a refereeing decision and people go, Arsenal robbed, everyone's going to be like, shut up already. So even if the next one is relevant to your decision, or is relevant, or there's a bad decision for you guys, people are going to be like, you've already done that video. You did it when it was Newcastle. Newcastle got robbed.
Yeah, 100%.
But so the problem is then that creates like a thing in people's brain. People then associate that with Arsenal, even though it's nothing to do with you. Do you know what I mean? So it works in the opposite direction. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
You know what's crazy though, Lou?
Yeah.
Most of these things though, I find it funny. I actually think that most of these narratives and stuff don't actually come from either Arsenal or Man City fans. It comes from fans of Chelsea, fans of Manchester United. You know what? The like those are the ones who are saying this stuff more than anything. Like, one thing I will tell you about Terry. Terry loves the big headlines, but Terry is nor Arsenal nor Manchester City, right? He's Man United. He makes all the big headlines. But it's also the Chelsea fans who are the ones, by the way, it's so funny because their season and our season are vastly different right now. And I'm going to try to say as little negatively about their club in the lead up to our match at the weekend. Yeah. But I feel like it's their fans who, despite their position in the table versus us, Just like they'll have a game where they've drawn against Burnley, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tottenham score a goal, and I see 30 straight messages, all from Chelsea fans. Get in there, Tottenham. Oh, Tottenham, like, or Arsenal, you're bottling it. And I'm like, I mean, why are you talking? You are in fifth.
But Anton,
Why is your
that's okay? You agreed with me. That is normal fan behavior.
It is normal fan behavior. It is normal fan behavior.
So
but
why
at the
is
same,
it not okay?
But I'm not saying it's not okay. But I'm just saying that that's where it's coming from. I'm saying that's where it's coming from. That's where it originates from. It ekes its way into the media, but it's, or into certain headlines. And generally, I think this is Twitter talk mostly. This, Newcastle Rob.
Or YouTube live.
I feel like
YouTube live chats are the new Twitter.
Right. but right, Lou. The same people who have YouTube live chats also have Twitter accounts.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the same people, right?
Yeah.
So that's where it originates from. The unfortunate part, back to your original headline about the agendas, is that those things leak into the media and become spoken about as facts rather than being opinion from fans.
Yeah. No,
it's not a coincidence. Sorry, one thing. Not a coincidence that Sky and Talk Sport now are hiring YouTubers to be pundits.
Do you know what I think, right? Because I have quite strong opinions on this, and it could be a whole video of itself. And I want to actually, there's one more thing I want to say on this, and then we will talk very slightly about the title race, but it's very late. We've been here for 2 hours, and obviously the guys, can I just say, I can see there's still people, they're watching, even though they can't communicate, they can't chat, they've been removed from the video by YouTube. That's such a shame. And you know what? This has been such a fantastic conversation, if I say so myself. I think it's been really interesting. Genuinely, I think the guys would have loved this. I'm so devastated that we don't have a live chat.
And I'm going to give you credit, by the way. Lou is a rival fan, by the way. You didn't come here and gaslight me about any of these Arsenal topics. You've been very fair. You've been listening. I can't say the same for many other rival fans because they would just be trying with me on the stream their best to get under my skin, and you haven't done that once. So I do appreciate.
You know what it is, though, Anton? And can I be honest with you? Because obviously we've both been on the terrace. We chat privately as well. You know, like I've been on your channel, you're on mine. So I think we get on well enough at this stage. I didn't want that side of you on the channel. Because if I'm honest, I think when people rage bait you and when they wind you up and when they get under your skin, I think what happens, and this is my observation, I feel like you have to go so far the other way to balance it out. So if I come in and I'm bantering you and I'm rage baiting you and I'm doing all this with Arsenal, I feel like you go all the way over to this side. But that means then me and you, we wouldn't have had a real conversation.
Yeah.
And what happens then is you become a caricature because you've gone to an extreme to balance out what I'm doing. So you go completely the other way. That becomes a caricature. It becomes a persona. And then you don't get a real conversation.
Right.
So if I invite you onto my channel and then I rage bait you to the point where you become a caricature and a persona, there's no real conversation. And nobody in my chat's going to enjoy that. What I wanted was Anton, the Arsenal fan, to have a conversation with me. And I think we get to see a completely different side of you and of Arsenal fans because we've actually just had a conversation.
Right.
And that's what I enjoy. I'm not into.
I enjoy that too, to be honest. That's what I joined YouTube Space to be in the first place. The funny thing is like, I try my hardest when I'm behind camera, at least, to be as objective as I possibly can, to really tell you my truth. What? But the thing is, in the group chats, and stuff, everyone's throwing banter. I'm always replying to everything. I'm shitting on everybody's teams all the time in group chats. But if you wanted to ask me what I really thought about their teams, I'm nowhere near as disrespectful if you ask me on camera.
But I know that about you. Whereas I think it would have done you a disservice if we didn't have a real conversation. No, I appreciate that. So I think it's good. But I'm going to end
as when you came onto my channel, by the way, as well. We didn't do that to you either. So.
Imagine. We didn't need a referee this time.
Didn't even need Cal this time, I know.
The poll was, Do Arsenal and their fans get more criticism than other teams and their fans? Okay. So the breakdown is when I end the poll, yes, it's ridiculous, 32%. So about a third. Yes, but it's the cost of being a top team, which is 20%. So about a
That'd be
fifth.
higher. Yeah.
Me too. But I think the reason it's not higher is this one. No, they don't get more criticism than other teams. It happens all big teams and their fans. That had 48% of the poll. And that's probably where I sit. I think this season, individually, you're getting more, but you're getting more not because you're Arsenal, but because you're top of the table. I think if United was top of the table, we'd be getting more than you, which tells me it's not about Arsenal. It's about top of the table. I think you're getting more, but not because you're Arsenal, because that's what happens to big teams. I think you maybe get more than Liverpool, but we've established everybody gets more than Liverpool.
To be fair, Liverpool, I'm feeling it now. Like, and maybe this is karma, because I was one of the fans who last year when Liverpool were doing well. I'm like, you know what? They're really winning it by default because Arsenal and City have dropped off the map this year. I did say that, and I regret saying it. And having sit now in their position, I'll never say that. Before? I'll never say that again. What?
Is this an exclusive? Because I've never heard you say that you regret saying that.
Because you know what? I'm not going to be one of these people. Is it
because I'm not bantering you, so you can say it without me trying to make you look like a fool?
But at the same time, though, I'm never going to be one of those people. And this is where I want to, like, we're talking about YouTubers who change, or YouTubers who stick to their first opinion through thick and thin because they don't want to look weak. For me, you know, things change with perspective, with things that you see. New information changes opinions, and you always need to be willing to change your opinion. So no, it's not because, you know, we're sitting here in the middle. Even if somebody was trying to rage bait me, I mean, it depends. Maybe if a Liverpool fan,
you might be a bit less likely to say it out loud.
Maybe a little bit less likely, but I would have said that anyway. Like, I kind of feel like, you know what I mean?
I think that's what it's about. That's what it's about. But in light of this, and this is actually very interesting because I wrote these down. So I'm going to show you, okay? So you'll see on my notebook, there's blue pen and there's black pen. Okay, so the black pen at the top, I had written down before the stream started. The blue pen were the questions I was asking you while we were speaking. Okay, so what I wrote down before the stream started: banter versus ragebait, which we've spoken about. And the second thing I wrote was, why do Arsenal fans feel picked on? Now, that's shortened because obviously I didn't want to write a full sentence. I meant some Arsenal fans. But the outcome of the poll, majority was, no, they're not picked on. It happens all big teams and fans. So what I had written down underneath this was things that are said about other teams. So
very good.
United fans are arrogant. We're entitled. We shouldn't be pleased that we're doing better than last season, because if we're happy about getting into Champions League again, we think we're winning the league, and we've been nothing for years. And even if we were something, it's only because we allegedly paid the referees. Okay? So those are regularly said about Man United that have not been successful in terms of Premier League races for over a decade. All of that said about us. All of that stuff has been said about us this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember the Ashley Young memes when he was known as a diver, all that stuff. That was
you know, the next one, Chelsea fans. What do we say about Chelsea fans? Not world champions, world champions. All the time.
I said that to Jesse this morning.
There you go. And then what do we say about Manchester City? What's the most common thing about Manchester City? 115 FC. I never see anything like the word city. Okay. 115 FC. Your laugh tells me how much you see it. Okay. Tottenham Hotspur have literally become an adjective. Spursy. You're Spursy. It's literally become, being called similar to Spurs is an insult. We created a word, Spursy, I mean, if that is not consistent, like bashing a club, I don't know what is.
Do you know what's really funny,
Okay?
Lou? On Sunday, the Arsenal fans, for the end of the game, were singing, "Are you Tottenham in disguise?"
Oh, but everybody
To
picked for
Tottenham.
Arsenal. The only people that get bantered and slagged off are Arsenal. I mean,
No, but when it comes, the funny thing is, when it comes to Tottenham, we are king in chief in bantering Tottenham. That's
but
our
my
existence.
point is, some
You know what I mean?
people think Arsenal are the only team that get bantered. So this list continues.
Oh,
by the way.
no. Tottenham,
So-
let's be honest. Tottenham get bantered more than Arsenal. That's
And I think
like
United
our
probably
little
still get
brother.
it the most. I really think United
For
still
some,
get it
that's
the
what I
most.
was saying. There are three clubs, right?
Mhm.
And it's Arsenal and Man United, and for some reason it's Spurs, which is the third club that gets teased and mocked the most.
Mhm.
Which is funny because I feel like they don't fall in our category at all, but they are the third one.
But more.
Yeah.
Certain fans this season have been saying of the team in the number 3 spot in the Premier League, Aston Villa, who have been in the top 3 basically the entire season.
By the way, was I not right? The Mirage falling off now.
Irrelevant.
Yeah, but
Irrelevant.
but it's
No,
the
can
word.
I finish
The word
my
is
point
triggering.
before you
Okay,
argue?
fine.
Because we're doing a list, Anton, and the
Yeah.
list loses its flow if we keep pausing.
Okay.
So, outside of Arsenal, the bottlers, we also have Arrogant United, we have World Champions, we have 115 FC, we have Spursy down for relegation, and we have Irrelevant Villa. And if we really want to be mean to Liverpool, Slippy GFC. Okay? So I would suggest that Arsenal are not picked on. I would suggest that all of the big teams get bantered on the regular because every single thing I've said there, Arrogant, World Champions, 115 FC, Spursy, have all been said in the last week. 100%. I guarantee you've seen them somewhere in the last week. You yourself think Villa are irrelevant, even though they're third in the Premier League. This very competitive, very good Premier League. So they're doing something right. So I don't think anybody can say Arsenal are the only team that get bantered. I just don't think it's correct. And I think I've given a full list there, and I'm sure there are more, of other people that consistently get bantered. Do you think 115 FC is said less than bottlers? Because I don't.
I think we're talking about. Are we? Just to clarify, we're speaking about fans, not media.
Fans, yes.
Yeah, because in fans, 100%. My issue is that I feel like the Arsenal banter creeps into the media more than others. I'll tell you this much. This is what I see at Manchester City. And I don't really watch Sky when I watch. I watch the Premier League channel, the international broadcast. I'm sure you've seen some of their coverage as well. I feel like it's a lot better, honestly, and a little bit more in the middle. But one thing I will tell you is that everything they said about Manchester City, and maybe deservedly so over the years, has always been overwhelming praise. The 1-1, maybe because it's the Premier League's channel themselves, but the 1-1-5 stuff never gets discussed on that channel. Ever.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Ever. But you know what does get discussed on that channel? Oh, are Arsenal bottling it? Are Arsenal going to be able to get out of the line? Do they have it? All that type of stuff. The nervousness about Arsenal is always discussed when Conor McNamara, your countryman, who by the way does an amazing job on the Premier League channel. He is actually my favorite commentator ever since I've heard him speak the way he speaks. But anytime Man City does anything good, it's always like, Arsenal are there. They are worrying about Manchester City tonight. And I'm like, but when Arsenal score, he's not talking about Man City worrying about Arsenal.
Yeah.
You can feel, by the way, Conor McNamara has no agendas. He is a legend. I love him. I love listening to him speak. He speaks with panache, and that Irish accent as well just kind of drives it over the top.
Drives everything.
Yeah. But like, I feel like it's Arsenal. this Arsenal thing seeps a little bit more into even the commentary than the Manchester City stuff. But I think maybe because the Manchester City stuff is a bit more of a sensitive topic and people don't want to get caught with their pants down.
I think as well, one of them has legal ramifications and the other one doesn't. So because technically what's happening with Manchester City, fans can say it because it doesn't matter really. If a broadcaster to millions of people says something and slips up in their phrasing, which can happen because we're humans, they will receive a legal repercussion for that. So I do think, apart from the fact that it's the Premier League's own channel, which probably does impact it, I think if you say something wrong about an ongoing case which has legal ramifications, I do believe it's more serious than calling someone a bottler or saying, they're giving somebody nightmares. So I do think the scenarios are different. I don't think that's something Sky can talk about, being honest with you, or whichever channel it is.
But Sky is more like when Villa's doing well, right? They're not saying Villa or Mirage. Villa, how great is it that Villa are... They'll seriously talk about Villa as being a threat to the title as long as they were there. Villa, they always mentioned it. Maybe it's because they're trying to engage all 20 fan bases, and that's part of their brand as well. But
I think the only team that gets as much stick as Arsenal
is Man United
from mainstream media, from impartial pundits, is United, which is potentially, I'm going to at the very end talk about my bias, which is potentially why when I see Arsenal fans being like, everybody picks on us, I'm like, try being a United fan. We haven't won anything in 10 years, and everybody.
Can I be honest, Lou? I don't want to sound like coming here and trying to be, like pander to the host. But I've said this literally in the group chat, in the group chat, right? Without Man United fans in it, the Arsenal one. I said, I actually really want to see Man United make third or make in the top four, because I want to see another club that also gets scrutinized like us succeed in their season this year.
It'll take eyes off you guys.
Despite it. Yeah.
See if we get to third, and I'm not being funny, if we get to third and we finish the Premier League in third, the meltdown, nobody will be slagging you anymore because they won't have time. We'll be the arrogant, entitled, think we're winning the league, can't believe they think there's somebody, United are back again, fans.
But you're going to get what we got under Wenger, which is they celebrate top four like it's a trophy. You're going to get that.
And you know what it is?
Get ready for it.
Do you know what it is? I don't care. And I genuinely, 100%, hand on my heart, my black heart, don't care. And you know why I don't care? Because I see it as a compliment. The reason people hate us so much is because we're so good. They don't want us to succeed again because they remember what it was like the first time. I heard on TalkSport the other day, the hosts were talking. I can't remember which two, so I don't want to say. Might have been Simon Jordan and somebody, but I can't remember.
Oh, no. Simon Jordan was saying that Arsenal's game against Tottenham meant nothing.
Oh, did he? God, I didn't even know that. But essentially what he said was, and I can't remember, so I don't want to misquote somebody. What was it they said? They basically said, if this is the level of hate that United are getting right now, if they get back into the Champions League and get the Champions League money and then are consistently competing again, people will run. Like, people talk about Arsenal being scary or City being scary, okay?
Oh, I agree with you 100%.
Manchester United get back on top, everybody is going to melt down. Everybody. But it's a compliment because they hate us because we're good. They hate us because we're a threat. They hate us because we cause them pain. It's a compliment.
Do you know that this summer when Paul Pogba and Ibrahimovic signed for Manchester United?
Yeah.
The meltdown across everyone assumed that you guys were going to like absolutely be back and the Premier League was in trouble before you even kicked the ball.
Yeah. And you know what it is? I don't think we are there because, as I explained to you earlier, my thoughts on Carrick.
Oh, you had Mourinho as manager as well that year too.
Yeah. But I don't think we're back. I think there's so much to do.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's exclusive to Arsenal. And it was something, it's been really irking me because I've seen so many people being like, oh, picking on Arsenal, poor Arsenal. Arsenal get all the hate. And I'm like, hold on a minute. Newcastle got robbed and we're talking about Arsenal got robbed. United fans, we get stick for everything. We get stick for losing. We get stick for winning. If we lose, we get bantered and we're crap and we're irrelevant.
Yeah,
if
you're
we
winning
win,
4 straight.
You're
we're
not
talking about a
living
guy with a
happy,
haircut.
Yeah, but we can't. It doesn't matter what we do.
Yeah, I feel
we
you.
can lose, we can win. It doesn't matter. You get hated for winning. See, if you start losing again, nobody's going to care. And I'm not being arrogant about that. People will stop bantering you as much. It will quieten down. Ours just never quietens down. So maybe as a United fan, I'm like, shut up. Just get over it, okay? It's part of being a big team. Get used to it or get crap. Basically,
you know what's really funny? You know what's really funny, Lulu?
Go on.
People miss about me this year because of my Arsenalness and how much I push the Arsenal thing.
We have a chat.
Wow, you made it through. We made it through the firewall that is YouTube. Well done.
Oh, YouTube is killing us tonight.
I've actually had a very pro Man United agenda the whole year, and nobody's noticed it. If anybody watched my one of my flagship shows, Anton's Tears, while I've been dogging Villa, do you know who I actually had in the third spot almost the whole time?
Us.
Man United.
Woohoo!
And I'm like, I keep saying Man United, as everybody's melting down about Ruben. They've beaten Chelsea. They've beaten Liverpool. They've had all these really good results throughout the whole year. They've actually got one of the more talented teams, I think. I just felt like they're being underutilized. I always felt like Man United were much better than everybody talked. Everybody talked like Man United were a tire fire. They were in Tottenham's position. The vocabulary that is used. Yeah. The vocabulary that was used about Man United. And I saw through that the whole year. I kept saying, no. And by the way, that's why another reason why I want to see you guys finish third, because I've been saying it the whole year on everywhere. I've had Man United.
Well, it's here now. But Anton, and we're going to finish on this because it's been unbelievable. I have such a good stream. I am so angry with YouTube. I'm so mad with YouTube because this was such a good stream. So I'm going to end on this. After everything we've spoken about, and not with your bias hat on, because I know what you will say with your bias hat on. With your just late at night, nobody's listening, YouTube is broken, Anton hat on.
Yeah. Do
you genuinely believe Arsenal will win the league this season? Genuinely.
Okay. Well, first of all, if you are, you're underestimating me if you think that this goes just because of YouTube. Like I'm literally like talking to myself. No,
but I mean, I know you're into the law of attraction. I know your instinct is to say yes and be positive. But I mean, from a genuine point of view, so before the Everton game, okay, we do predictions every week, myself and Ash. Before the Everton game, I said, I'm saying win for United because I hope it's a win. But on a genuine level, I'm concerned about this match.
Really?
I think it's going to be hard.
What did I predict for you guys? I think had you guys winning 2-0 or something.
No, I said before the match, I'm genuinely concerned this is going to be hard. Those are my words. So even though I said, yes, we'll win, I also gave a genuine, I'm not quite sure. So that's what I mean. Your instinct is to back your team and say yes. But on a real level, like if you search inside, genuinely, I'm curious.
I actually do think we're going to win the league. Honestly, the way I feel, I think people are missing one little piece in here, which is I feel like, and about Man City's own players speaking this way too, Arsenal have more control of games in general. So when we concede goals, it's basically due to our own errors. We making errors in game, which leads to goals. But defensively set up throughout the year, throughout the whole game, we're much more well structured. We're a lot harder to break down. Where with Manchester City, teams are able to counterattack and get multiple attacks against them throughout games. Any team in the country, any team. Like Newcastle United went to Manchester, and Man City were defending throughout the entire second half in their own stadium. They were on the back foot throughout the entire game. That doesn't happen. I mean, it happens to Arsenal when we go away from home against certain teams. It's happened maybe sometimes against Liverpool this year. But in
Another chatter.
general, yeah.
We're getting chats.
But in general, I feel Arsenal have more control
Okay.
of football matches. But I also
Fair.
feel like Man City, to keep up with Arsenal and their best runs,
Mm-hmm.
they use a lot more energy than we do in those
Mm-hmm.
periods. And their players say it as much.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel it. Arsenal keep winning. And they're like, shh, I cannot believe it's been this tough just to keep up with them.
Yeah.
And then it leads to a Sunderland result or something like that. Where I feel like Arsenal right now are screwed up is City used all their energy to get themselves where they were earlier at around December time. And in January, they were crumbling and Arsenal didn't capitalize on it. We crumbled too alongside them, right? And it was more like they push Arsenal along because we feel them pressure behind. So when they win, we generally respond. But when they don't win, for some reason, we don't like to capitalize upon it.
Yeah.
But I do feel like as this last 10 games go on, I think, by the way, that I hope that this Tottenham game was a sign of how things will go on for the rest of the year, that we can show that consistency. I actually think that more often than not, I'd say at least 8 of the next 10, both the teams are winning, right?
See, I think you're both going to lose. I think you're both going to drop points. But I don't know who's going to drop more.
Whichever it is. I don't think that one is going to be a lot more advantageous than the other.
No.
I also think that this is something that's important to people to remember, and this has drove me crazy with the narrative of the title. People say City win all their games, they win the Premier League title, which is true, right? But the same is not the same about Arsenal. Arsenal can win all their games and draw at the Etihad and still win. The pressure is not as much on us to deliver when we go. Gary Neville saying Arsenal need to go to the Etihad and win, really send a statement. I'm like, no, if we get a 0-0 draw at the Etihad and we're still top, with our final 5 games being some of the easiest teams in the league,
you're already ahead, then a draw keeps you ahead. Yeah.
Right. So I do feel like as long as we can really, really just keep our eye on the prize, I do feel like this has been our season from the start. We've been the most consistent team from the start. City's never led at any point in the Premier League season at the end of a match week. It was Liverpool for the first 5 weeks, and then from then on, it's been Arsenal. I feel like the Premier League table rewards those who are the most consistent. And as long as we can remain so, I do think in my heart of hearts that we'll win it. I do.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to end on that because it has been a whopper of a stream. We're here 2.5 hours. It didn't feel like that at all. Thank you very much to Anton for being here. As I said, Anton is on Fire Them Cannons. I do have it tagged in the description. Go check him out. Say hi. As you can see, he's not all he's made out to be. He's very balanced. You can have a normal conversation with him once you don't rage bait.
On Fire Them Cannons, we have normal conversations.
Exactly.
When me and Cal are chatting, we're real, you know.
I want to say a big, 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 massive thank you to everybody who has been watching the live. I can see you. It tells me there's people watching the live. So even though you can't talk to us, even though you couldn't get your chats in, thank you so, so much for being here and for sticking with us, even when you couldn't interact.
2.5 hours,
yeah, and these people have been here, Anton, with us for 2.5 hours. Thank you so much to everybody. You are all absolutely fantastic people. Please, when the video ends, get your comments in after the stream. So anything you wanted to say during the stream and you couldn't get it into the live chat, please do put your comments down below. Myself and Anton will both be in reading them. I always read them and answer them. I'm sure Anton will be doing the same. Please do so, because obviously we want to hear what you think. The idea of the show is we chat to each other, but we couldn't this evening. So please do get stuck in. Thank you for being here. Folks, there's no stream tomorrow. I am minding my friend's wee girl. We're going to have a great time. I'm going to be at an imaginary tea party. I'm going to be watching God knows what on the TV. She watches all sorts of mad stuff. I'm going to be I'm going to be playing house. So I will not be streaming tomorrow, but we will be back 7:30 on Friday for Live with Lou and Ash. So obviously we're going to be talking a lot about Newcastle on that stream. Have a good one, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Have a good one, folks.